All right, hello, welcome to Adventures in Lollygagging. We're back to playing Eternal Lies today, running these fools through 1936. We just finished up Los Angeles. We did some Savannah. We're heading back to Arkham, and then who the hell knows where? I do, because they told me 2 weeks ago. But no, I'm just kidding. Well, actually, no, I'm not just kidding. But then Steven goes and changes his mind. He's like, oh, okay, let's go here instead. And then he's like, okay. So anyhow, we'll find out later today where they head next. I don't know. And we'll hope that Pastor Wood's nemesis doesn't follow. Jack Pisner, a.k.a. guy from the... Never mind. All right. All right. So we're back to Eternal Lies. We're continuing. We took last week off. We're going to be doing some downtime a little bit tonight. We might learn a little bit more about our investigators, and they might open up some of their significant people for me to put into danger and terrify and torture them with. So very excited to hear about this. But before we do that, let's go ahead and get everyone to introduce themselves. We're going to start with Steven. Steven, tell us about Pastor Wood.
Well, hello there. I'm playing Pastor Zephaniah Wood. You can call me Zeph. Most people call me Pastor or Wood. It's not what I prefer, but no one asked. And Pastor Wood is a man of the law, a man of Old Testament law and of Texan law, and he enforces it as he sees fit. There have been some predictions about my family life being made before the game, specifically by Ashley, who was very, very morbid and just said they're all dead.
And then immediately felt bad about it. And then
yeah, you gotta say that part too to tell the whole story.
Immediately apologize. Immediately felt bad about it. And then Steven brings it up on stream.
Your wife, only the wife. Your brother's probably fine.
Hey, context. Yep. We were talking about how could you lose sand when you're hanging out with your loved ones? And man, if they're dead, I would definitely lose some.
That would be a good way for that to happen, actually.
I seem to remember something in Impossible Landscapes when we were running that, where it's like one of the best ways to induce like sanity, or like to describe the idea of the kind of sanity that shows up in Impossible Landscapes was, it's like when someone sits down, like at like say you're at a restaurant and someone comes to sit down and that you know that they've been dead for like 10 years and they just sit down in front of you with you and your other friends. Like that's one thing. But then it gets even worse. They're like, but everybody around you thinks everything's fine and you're the only one who thinks it's crazy. So anyhow, so that could possibly happen. None of you have actually seen Carmela. So
that's actually a legit nightmare that I have.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. Just saying. We'll see. Next up, Melissa, tell us about Marie. And what is Marie looking forward to as she heads back to Arkham?
Yeah, so Marie Wynn is a jazz singer that's gotten caught up in some stuff where she is way over her head. And she is looking forward to hanging out with an old friend, cracking open a bottle of wine. Because as I was reviewing some things on my character sheet, I was like, oh, right. I said at character creation that her vice was drinking. And I don't know that we've really seen her doing a whole lot of that. So downtime, home scene seems like perfect time for some drinking to occur.
It does. It does. You know what else would have been a perfect time? At a mafia-run gambling party on a ship out in the water in which there was jazz being played and everyone was inviting you to do stuff. That would also have been a really good time. I'm just going to throw that out there.
There was work to be done. Don't drink on the job. I mean, she's a jazz singer, so probably, but you know, definitely. She's trying to focus. She's not
much of a vice
in the group.
If you don't do it while working.
Yeah, it happens. Next up, we got Shima. Maitra, tell us about Shima.
Shima Oberon is your student researcher who is attending Miskatonic U on a full ride wrestling scholarship, and I wouldn't say she's looking forward to it so much as it's the only thing on her mind that she really needs to get back to, like working on this paper and submitting it and working towards getting her degree, because she's like 90% sure this jaunt out west, even though it was just so great in so many ways, might end up making her flunk out. So
That's true. Yeah. And did we define what degree? I know we defined the topic. You said library studies. Did we define like what tier? Are you just getting like your bachelor's, or are you doing like an advanced degree?
Put a whole lot of structure in it. I'm thinking bachelor's because that aligns with sort of the age I think she is.
Okay, the young energetic. Yeah. Okay,
super naive,
like early 20s or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. And then next up, Ashley, tell us about Dr. Beverly Key.
Dr. Beverly Key is our professor of anthropology. And she's excited to get home into her office and get her hands on all of these books that we've uncovered and acquired. And also, she has her lovely Ed Exley that she needs to reach out to. You
just kind of ditched him. I just want to point that out. You just kind of left the city and ditched him after everything he did for all of you. I'm just saying, it's a good guy.
And hopefully, he just gets ditched. Hopefully, he's down to come travel and see Bev for some quality time.
Maybe we'll see. That's a long way to travel.
Totally not a booty call.
That's a long
not
way to travel for a
booty call. I love it.
That's when he breaks up
has
with
a
me.
Discount. There's like the bereavement discount, booty call discount. It's perfect.
Nice.
Get on it, Delta. Let's go. And
back when airlines had standards.
Right? And then finally, Long, tell us about Mr. Patrick Price.
Yes, Patrick Price here. Can't wait to go home, see my girlfriend, my friends, my customers. Tell them all about the trip biscuits I just took.
She's just your girlfriend now? I thought she was your fiance. I thought you were
Soon
all
to be
engaged.
what? Yes, that's right.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if maybe you're having second thoughts. Cold feet?
No.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. All right. So, 1936. We all know this. I'm going to get into the summary. Last time around, we were in the basement of Samson Trammell's mansion. Samson Trammell is the figurehead, presumably, of the Los Angeles modern cult, the same kind of cult that Echeverria led back in 1924 when Walter Winston, father of your patron Janet Winston Rogers, was involved in the investigation. So there you all were in the basement of Samson Trammell's mansion, and you had a couple of your LA Mafia buddies. You had Johnny, you had Paulie Piscopo. That's what I decided his last name is. And you all were doing battle with these like cultists and thugs. Most of the cultists, honestly, were too busy like having sex with each other. But otherwise, you were fighting some thugs, and you were fighting this giant, hideous mouth creature that was the size of a wall. Like, it was enormous. You killed several of the guards, and a few of you nearly got consumed by the mouth. But you were able to flee. And you blocked some entrances, and you let the fire that Pastor Wood had set in the master bedroom just kind of do your dirty work. And then you all got the hell out of there. And as that Pasadena mansion was blazing, you all traveled over to Johnny and Paulie's apartment. You passed some moons, you said some farewells, and there was a bit of a tense standoff at one point over some of the files that was found in Trammell's office, but ultimately everything was okay. A lot of the accounting books and the distribution logs for Nectar were left for the Akone family. You all basically got all of the books that you gathered and that journal that Patrick found in Trammell's desk. All those types of like occult things seem to be what you kind of collected. And then at sunrise, you all went to the airport. You reunited with your pilot friend, Frank Kearns, and you started flying back to Arkham. So, all of you, if you haven't already done so, you can roll your luck for the day. You can also reset your daily sand finally. And we'll get started. Okay, let's see. What do I want to do? Let's do a little.
It's amazing how much happened in that one day before we got
It was a pretty intense day.
Whoa.
It was an absolutely intense day. So we open up and we see the plane flying off from the tarmac in LA. And as it starts heading east, and you start flying at dawn. And so you're flying like literally into the sun rising. And it doesn't take you all long as you're sitting in your various seats to just sort of fall asleep, because it has been an exhausting day for everybody. And it's been an extremely long day for everybody, whether it's sanity loss, physical exertion, wounds, gunshots, stab wounds, nearly getting swallowed by a giant mouth, whatever it might be. All of you have had an extraordinarily exhausting day. And so we picture this silver plane flying through the air towards the sun. We see a series of like a montage shot of it landing here, landing there for refueling and such, because it's a long flight from LA to Arkham. It's effectively like a whole day, like 24 hours effectively with the stops. And we're going to zoom in for a moment as we're traveling across, and like the lights, the light is there from the sun, then it goes away and becomes dark again, and it comes up again. And we're going to zoom in for a moment on Shaima. Shaima, you wake up, and it's still, when you wake up and you're still in your seat, you can hear the sound of the propeller of the plane humming. You kind of look up ahead and you can see that there's Frank Kearns in his seat, a single cockpit. You can see through the kind of a hole in this makeshift door, right? And he's just flying away. And you look around and you notice that everyone's asleep. And some of them probably have maybe a blanket or a coat up to their necks, or maybe a book is sprawled out. But Shaima, give me a spot hidden test, if you could, please. As you wake up, the energetic young early 20s college student amongst all these ancient people in their 30s and 40s and 50s.
So old we are.
Ridiculously old, ancient, fossilized, you might even say.
Okay. That's a 90 over 78.
Okay.
And
all right. You're looking around and you can see like something's missing. You look for right next to Beverly. Remember, these are like single row seats. And there's like an aisle down the middle. Beverly's got and behind her in one of the seats, there's this big pile of books. But you look around and you realize that something's missing. And you look for like your suitcases and things, the bags that you had in the back of the car when you were on the road outside of Pasadena. And you realize like whoever had that lockbox, you're looking around for it. And you're looking around for it, and you don't see it whatsoever. What do you want to do?
Go and sort of frantically wake up Dr. Key.
Okay. You go over, you start shaking her a little bit. She doesn't wake up. You see her head's leaning back. You can see her chest moving. You can see this fairly delicate drizzle coming down from her mouth. But as you shake her, she doesn't wake
up. Moving over to Pastor Wood then.
Move over to Pastor Wood. Pastor Wood's got his dusty coat off. He's got it up to his neck, almost like a blanket. His hat maybe coming down a bit. And you got to shake him up a little bit. And he doesn't wake up either. And you also see that this time, kind of almost like tears coming down from his eyes. You see this drizzle of liquid coming down from his eyes.
Like a tear or color?
Certainly looks that way.
Okay, I'm trying Patrick Price and Cecily as well.
Okay.
Before I run up to Frank Kearns.
You head over to Patrick Price now. And well, what does Patrick Price actually look like when he's sleeping? The other two are fairly easy. But what does Patrick Price? Does he do anything in particular long?
He's pristine. He's like presentable even in his sleep.
Like his hair is somehow finally come. Everybody else has got like smudges here and there, bits of ash or soot or something like that from escaping the fire, mud here and there. Their clothes aren't perfect because you've been wearing some older clothes and such. But here he is, Patrick Bryson, and there's a delightful smell on him. You're just like, how does he do that? And you try to shake him, and he doesn't wake up. And then you smell. And it's very mossy very nature-like. And he's just breathing in and out, but he won't wake up. Now what does Shaima do?
And trying Marie as well.
Okay.
Presumably
Well, what does
this
Marie?
all takes like under a minute.
Oh, yeah. This is all happening fast. Marie, what does it look like when Marie is asleep?
I'm going to say Marie's the opposite of Patrick. So normally she has like finely coiffed hair and like quite a bit of makeup that's well done, but sleeping, it's just like the hair is all muscled and she's like drooling, and it's not a presentable sight.
You see Shaima as she's leaning back, mouth wide open, drool coming out onto her chin, dripping onto her lap. But you also notice something else. As you see her mouth open, you can kind of see the roof of her mouth. And you can see that it almost looks like there's something protruding from the roof of the mouth just behind the row of teeth that you normally see. It's like you just kind of catch it as you're moving past to wake her up. What do you do?
Melissa, I'm so sorry. I'm going to gently open Marie's mouth and see
Sure.
did I really see that? Or was there?
Yeah.
I'm trying to be sure of what I saw.
You gently put your hand like on the forehead a little bit and kind of tilt her forehead back a bit. You got a hand on her jaw and very carefully just try to open her mouth a little bit wider like a dentist might, right? And you're pretty sure that half an inch, maybe less, behind her top row of teeth, you can see another row of teeth has started to protrude from the top of her mouth.
Okay, well, that's like 7 kinds of terrifying. I'm aggressively trying to wake her up, like shaking her shoulders, doesn't get any reaction, presumably.
You shake, and you watch as her head just snaps back. And you can see almost like a Pac-Man just opens wide. And it just crack. And she's still breathing. And she's still sleeping. But her head is just like, her mouth is impossibly wide at this point. You can even see the skin is kind of torn along the cheeks.
Holy shit. Okay, I'm gonna run up to Frank Kearns and like I can, Mr. Kearns, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to, nobody's waking up and there's something wrong with Marie and I need your help. And
So you see him from behind, he's just kind of flying around doing his thing. You hear the sound of the propeller. You run up, kind of tap him on the shoulder like, Mr. Kearns, and you watch as his head turns towards you. But when he looks at you, you realize that there isn't a face, but rather this sort of toothy, fanged, sphincter-like protrusion from where his face should be. And you see it just kind of pulsate and drool. Like you kind of step back from that. You kind of slam your head against the ceiling, back against the wall, and you look out and you can see that the plane itself is flying directly into the sun right now, which is just hanging there on the horizon. But as you look at it, you see that it's not a sun, but rather this emblazoned, bright, circular mouth. And the plane is just flying and flying and flying into it. And that sphincter face Frank Kearns turns, hits the throttle. Suddenly the plane starts going faster. You fall back into the basic section of the plane and the cabin, and you start kind of sliding back and back. And then suddenly, whew, you wake up. You see, as you look out the window, that it is daytime. You are on a runway. It is overcast, but you can see the familiar grays and blues of Arkham, of Northeast Massachusetts, basically, right? You look around, you can see everybody else is slowly kind of waking up here and there. And you hear the voice of Frank's like, hey, all right, wake up. Everyone wake up. Welcome home. We're back now. So go ahead, get yourselves all woken up, cleaned up, get ready to go, all that kind of thing. And Shaima, as you wake up, you can take 3 points of sanity loss.
holy crap. Okay. Great.
So what does that look like as you wake up? What does that sanity loss look like for Shaima as everyone wakes up, look around? What is that? So what does it look like for Shaima?
There is no propriety to her behavior with the sand loss. So she's running up to Marie and like yanking her head back and looking for the teeth, and then maybe running to Frank and like physically like fucking like moving etc. and looking for the rows or teeth.
You run over to Marie, you push her head back, and you like Marie,
and
you're
no
getting manhandled.
explanation for anything.
You're just getting manhandled by Shaima as she looks. I mean, you don't see the teeth now. Like you just see her normal rows of teeth. As Marie, like Shaima is grabbing your head and shoving your head. How do you react to that?
What are you doing? What? And she was trying to like.
There's teeth.
What? Get your hand out of my mouth, please. Please. That's. Oh, what are you? What? And she's just sort of like sliding up.
They're in here. I know they're in here.
Trying to talk when you got your hand shoved in my mouth, and she's sort of like looking around. And let's say like Patrick might be like in the row with her. Sure. And so she's just like slapping Patrick's arm, like trying to get some assistance here.
All right, break it up. What's gotten into you two?
She's gonna take the opportunity to run to Frank and then do a similar thing.
She just started shoving her hands in my mouth. I don't understand. I wasn't even woken up yet, and just suddenly I've got her fist in my mouth. She's saying something about teeth and so then Marie will sort of think a little bit, and then she'll like put her own fingers in her mouth for a second and just like double check.
Your teeth are all there. Yeah, it looks fine.
And there aren't any extra. No, I don't feel any extra ones. I just have mine. Dr. Key, Shaima seems a bit distressed about something. I don't.
While Shaima's at the front, sort of like
okay, so give me a sand test, by the way. I totally forgot to have you roll sand before I rolled the sand loss. So roll sand first, because you might not have taken 3. So roll your sand. Okay. But as Shaima like pushes past like Pastor Wood and Bev, as you turn to talk to Bev, we'll say Marie and Patrick maybe in the final row, and Pastor and Beverly.
So were you asking me for a sand?
Yeah, Shaima, roll a sand, because I just rolled the die before you even asked you to sand test, because it's been 2 weeks. Leave me alone.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. You can still take the 3 because you lost. Because you lost. Listen to me. I'm taking the loss. Okay, so you run up, you shake Frank Kearns, like, hey, come on, I'm still taxiing here. I'm still taxiing here. What are you doing? And you all feel like the plane kind of lurch as he's driving, like, I gotta get us to the hangar. What are you doing? Hey, someone come take care of this.
It's here. I gotta get her off you.
Right. Hey, Pastor, could you give me a hand up here?
Shaima, and I'll move up, but I don't want to put hands on her. Shaima, it's okay. You were having a bad dream.
She lets go. She's like, I'm sorry. I'm
no. You got nothing to apologize for,
Mr. Kearns.
It's been stressful, and bad dreams happen. Trust me, I understand. But it was just a dream.
She's looks around and sees Pastor Wood without the tear, but does sniff to see if she can smell that moss scent again.
Okay. Let me see. We're all a luck test, actually. All luck test.
Okay.
84.
84. Oh, I can't roll for shit today.
You got that one initial look before stream, and that was all your dice luck.
That was it.
As Pastor is kind of comforting you, you do, and you do smell the faintest of that kind of mossy, sort of saturated smell coming off of Pastor Wood.
Okay, I'm convinced I'm smelling something I ought not to be, and I'm really trying to recenter myself. and just standing there breathing heavy. And I think Password has probably seen this wild-eyed, slightly manic look, like pretty much right after they had that adrenaline jolt of a fight at Chamel's place. Like, she's not usually this high-strung, aggressive high-strung, I mean. But she looks like she's either about to get into a fight or just come from a fight.
Shima, you're calming down now, right? Like,
I'm trying. I'm trying, but
Why don't
come
you
on, let's have a seat.
Sorry, Miss Wynn. I'm sorry.
just start from the beginning? What happened?
Relay the dream, and at the part where she couldn't wake anybody, you can hear like the slight rising panicked inflection of her relaying that part. It's like all of you couldn't be woken, and the extra set of teeth in Marie, and talks about the forehead teeth with Curran's, and the horrible toothy sun that we were flying into. Like, and I woke up and I didn't realize I had woken up. I thought I still had to handle all of those things, and none of you could help me.
Well, sometimes I found that if you can put the ideas that you have to paper, then they can kind of leave your mind because you've got them somewhere. And I've been seeing things since Savannah, and I don't know what all of it means. And you all are the smart ones, but maybe us keeping
I think
some notes.
Part of it is the smell. There was this smell in my dream, and I'm still smelling it now. But I think I must just be remembering the dream. It's just smells like moss. I don't know.
Miss Oberon, and you can tell now that you've calmed down, like Pastor Wood is like retreating back to his more formal self. Miss Oberon, it's also important to remember that you don't need us to help you. I've seen you in action. You're very capable. You can handle yourself.
Kind of smiles unsure and appreciatively at Pastor Wood at that. Mostly unsure.
Is the lockbox missing like it was in her dream?
No, it's fine. It's right where you left it.
Does anybody so meta, I know what the moss smell is, but like, does anybody have that nectar association in character?
So both Pastor Wood and Patrick Price have had that experience. Beverly,
mine's not been confirmed.
No, in the sense like the mossy smell. Like you smelled it when you woke in the flop house, and then Patrick, you had it later when you got back to the hotel. Like you kind of had that stuck in your nostrils for a bit. It faded, and then Beverly, probably when you and the chemists were testing, you might have gotten that whiff as well. Yeah. So I would say at this point you would probably associate it with nectar, one way or the other.
So after I say like that, the smell is part of what carried over and made me think that there was no separation between the dream and reality, and that mossy smell. I think that has to do with nectar, and this whole thing started with me not being able to find the lockbox. So.
Well, the lockbox is still here. Clearly,
Does
we all
take a nectar. I or spilled nectar or anything. I can't get that smell out of my nose.
I
We
mean,
didn't
I've tested
have any,
it.
did we?
We didn't have any additional nectar after the vial that Bev tested.
I didn't think so.
Charm is just kind of asking him panically, like just to make sense of it, and like just to make sense of it, like it, trying to find something real.
Not to be indelicate, but I can we leave the plane? And Marie's like kind of like stretching her back, and
It's probably the plane has probably come to a stop outside it, like right by a hangar where it'll be stored, and so you guys could easily get off. And like even Frank will come out like, "All right, fellas, ladies, we're here. We're touchdown. I think well, we could probably take care of a rental car for you if you want to get back to the city, wherever it is you got to go. I am sure Miss Winston Rogers is going to want to know a little bit about your final observations and such. I contacted her the way you told me to here and there, but I imagine she's going to want to know a little bit more about what you all found and all that sort of thing. So sooner we can get that kind of debrief together, I think that'll probably be best for everybody. But I can I'll go ahead and I'll take care of the plane as per usual, and we'll get you a car and you can head on back to wherever it is you all stay. Maybe get a good night's rest in a real bed this time, not in these old bucket seats.
thank you, Mr. Kearns. I must say that was quite the smooth ride across the country. I unlike some of us, got quite restful sleep. So.
Oh, really?
Skills.
Sorry, Mr. Kearns.
Yes.
I
no.
mean to hurt you. I hope I didn't hurt you.
Oh, Miss O'Brien, don't. I've had worse. It's no problem at all. No problem. I'm surprised though. There was quite a bit of turbulence over Oklahoma and Nebraska, basically the middle of the country. It was a bit touch and go for a while. Big old storm front. Yeah. But hey, sometimes you just need that little rocker. You fall asleep like a baby. Not me, of course, because that would have been a very unpleasant trip for all of us if I had.
Oh my. Yeah. My. Yes. And Marie will just sort of like kind of pat him on the arm as she kind of disembarks.
Okay. So as you all disembark, we'll leave the plane. Now, as we'll kind of go around, we'll see what everyone's doing initially, but I just want to kind of get a sense of where everything and who takes everything, because you guys have some sensitive objects and things that you've collected. So there's a collection of books that you have from Echeveria's library and from the UCLA lot. So originally it came from Echeveria's library, and then you got some from Trammell, and then you got some from UCLA. That's a lot of books. Like there's like, I don't know, 20 books or so in there. And some of them are quite big and very delicate. Who do those go with?
I think we can trust them to the doctor and Shima here. Go to the university.
All right. So we'll say Bev will take the book collection. Then we have the lockbox that you all got from Savannah, from the Henslow estate, within which there are some items. There was that kind of block, that tablet. There was Henslow's notebook, stuff like that. Where does that go? Does the lockbox stay? Like, do someone just take the lockbox? Do you split up the different items? How does that go?
I think Marie will take the lockbox because there's the drawings in there as well.
And in his notebook, yes.
So if
Are you
anyone,
okay if Shama took the stone?
of course.
Okay. So Marie, you're taking Henslow's notebook?
Yeah,
Okay.
the drawings out of it. And
It's
then
all
Shima
one
can
big
have
thing.
them.
It's all one big thing, yeah.
Yep.
And then Shima, you are taking the stone. Okay.
Yeah, curiosity drive on that one.
Okay. And I don't think you have a actual sample of nectar left. I think you guys have tested that back at UCLA, so I don't think you actually have a functional one anymore to carry with you. So I think that's everything in terms of the major belongings that you might have.
Was
I don't
there
really care so
a
much about
third
weapons or
item
anything.
in the lockbox, or am I misremembering?
Well, there was the lockbox that you dug up, but then you got another one, and that's where you put like the photos, I should say, those like horrific photos
that's what I'm
that you got
thinking.
out of the security box.
Right. Right.
Does someone take those?
Yeah, I'll
Or
take
is
it.
that the- Of course you will. Patrick takes.
I've become obsessed with the mouth, and those were in the pictures, so I think I'll take it.
Okay, so you're going to take the. Okay, so you're going to take basically Echeveria's party photos. Okay. All right. Now that we got that out of the way, let's just take a moment then. As everyone leaves, we'll say you can all either get cabs, or you can get a rental car, or wherever it is. I know some of you might actually have your own cars. I don't think they would be necessarily at the airport, but let's say one by one, we're going to do some home stuff. This is going to get kind of murky with time, but let's start with Pastor Wood. Pastor Wood, what's the first thing you do once you get off the plane? What happens next? What's Pastor Wood doing?
I wish you hadn't started with me.
Okay.
No,
it's okay. I can start someone else if you want more thought. That's fine. I mean, you didn't have 2 weeks to do it, but that's fine. Let's go to
no. I know what my home scene was, but I didn't know if we'd be going to Winston Rogers first. I think that would be his first thing because his family travels, so he doesn't necessarily expect them to be in Arkham.
Okay. So we'll come back to you then. Patrick, what is the first thing? Since you're a local, what's the first thing you do now that you're off the plane? You've got these handful of photos. What does Patrick do?
I would head home.
Okay. So talk to me about where Patrick lives. And I'm assuming since you and Anna aren't, considering the time, you don't live together, or do you actually live together?
No, not yet.
Okay.
So I'll head to like my barbershop, sort of home-ish.
Okay. Is it one of those things where you have like the barber shop on the first floor, and then above it there's like some tiny little piddly ass apartment? Okay. So would we say that your barber shop is like in a nice part of town, like uptown? Is it in like a kind of a nasty side of town? Like where would we think you would probably set yourself up?
Can make it nice.
Okay, so there's basically two options. Like uptown would probably be the most sense, but like French Hill is also another place you could be within Arkham. So these are effectively just like the
French
nicer
Hill
parts of
sounds
town.
nice.
Okay. All right. So old money. So you deal with old money. Okay. So we'll say we see you all kind of get in your cars, various taxis, cabs, etc. There's I'll say just for sake of ease, you all know how to contact each other. That's not an issue. But eventually, Patrick, you split off. You have your bags, a couple things that you brought with you, and you arrive. Your barbershop. Do you have a partner? Has it been closed this whole time?
No, it's been opened. I have a partner running it. His name's Peter.
Okay, another P for the P team.
For the PP barber. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So
Peter
by the time you get
Price?
there,
No,
Is
he's
it a
not my
brother?
brother.
okay. All right. We'll say by the time you get there, it's around lunchtime, noon, 1 o'clock, something like that. It's overcast. So this is the first day you're back. You go inside. You got your bags with you. You don't look that great. You're in not too great shape, but you do see that when you go in the barbershop, you can see Peter. You can see he's got someone in the chair right now. There's two people waiting. There's like a conversation going on. Maybe there's like a ding of the bell as you open it up, and you just hear the voice of Peter. He's like, "Yeah, go ahead and take a seat right now. It's going to be a little time here." And then he turns. Oh my goodness gracious, Patrick! Oh God, it's good to see you. I thought you were never going to come back. I thought you were just going to move out there and leave
Hey,
me.
Peter, I made it.
Okay, well, holy Christ, you don't look very good. Are you all right? My goodness. Oh Jesus! When was the last time you bathed? Oh God.
Now that you talk about it, I don't remember. I should probably get a shower. I'll be down if you need help.
Yeah, I kind of do need help here, but no, that's okay. That's okay. You go and get yourself cleaned up, go on up. I got about 10 messages from Anna. She keeps looking for you. I don't know. How am I supposed to know you? Well, she's your fiance or whatever. So, why isn't she? I don't know. But anyway, she's been contacted. She's trying to get a hold of you. She's all scared and worried, something this or that or whatever. You know how she gets. Anyhow, women, right? Anyhow. And so he kind of points over towards this counter where he's got all these different like bottles and things like that. But there's also like a stack of like little pieces of paper and stuff like right there. Like that's every single one. I had to write stuff down here and there. And when you get them and you start flipping through them as you're going up to your apartment, you notice that like they are messages from Anna, like things that like she was asking Peter about this and that. A couple things you notice, I would say immediately, Patrick, is that they progressively get a little bit more worried. Like at first it was like kind of playful and like kind of like the same jokes he's making, like, you know, that you're like way out west and you're just going to leave us because you move out to California and never come back and da da da. But eventually you notice towards like the last couple of messages that he's written down in case he heard from you. There's something about like she's starting to feel uneasy. She thinks someone's been watching the house, stuff like that.
Then I'll get a hold of her as soon as I can.
Okay, so we'll say you take a shower or whatever, and then you call. I'm sure the barbershop has a phone. And is Anna, is she working? Do you think? Does Anna have a job?
Yeah, we'll give her a job.
Okay, cool. What kind of job do you think she has?
That job is in the 30s that a woman has.
I mean, you do whatever you want, really.
Yeah, do whatever you want.
Doctor, lawyer,
Yeah.
you know,
Thank you,
anything she
Steven.
wants.
Physicist. She's long.
She does lady hair.
What do you want to do?
He sells products.
She sells products. Well
She's
said.
the Mary
Well said.
Kay of 1937.
Is that what she is? She's like, she
got
goes
the
around and she
Avon
sells like
catalog.
makeup or something. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my
I'm going to put that down. That's exactly what she is.
Boss
She's a
babe.
makeup saleswoman. Okay.
His name on like amazing.
Okay. If that's the case, it's a while before you actually get in touch with her. It's not till much later in the night. Maybe you call her a couple times. Maybe you call her mother, or maybe you call some of her family, and like she's out. And eventually you can get in touch with her, but it's not going to be like until after the day. So would you say that you would would you ever go over to see her, or would you just continue to try to call?
I would give her a message, say I'm back, and she can visit anytime.
All right, fair enough. All right, let's cycle then over to Dr. Bev. Bev, what is the first thing, or where do you immediately go once you leave your partners here in crime?
She will, on her way home, she swings by her office at work just to collect any notes or anything that have been left behind for her. Anything just to make sure that there's nothing that she needs to prioritize first over digging into these books.
Okay. So have you been? So are you you're a professor of anthropology? So if you head over to Miskatonic University, is Shima with you, or does Shima go a separate way? You think?
I think
What do you
Shama
Blanchard?
goes with her. She's just going back to her dorm.
Okay.
And Bev needs help carrying all these goddamn books, you know?
There are quite a few, and your own stuff. Okay, so the two of you head back, Miskatonic University. Bev, we'll go over to your actual office first. So you are kind of a middle professor, like you're I'm not sure if you're a full professor yet, but you might just be like an assistant professor. Who knows? Like you're still fairly young, so you might not have hit that tier yet. But the Department of Anthropology, you head over there. You get over to your office itself. You check messages. There is a department secretary who kind of collects messages for anybody who's gone. So you don't have your own individual secretary. But when you check your messages, nothing stands out from the last, let's say, week and a half or so. Most of it is like references to like maybe a colleague who is trying to have like a meeting, or maybe it's a student trying to ask for an extension. However, you do get like there's like this one message from somebody at UCLA that is specifically asking about like your funds and coordination, and you realize it's Dr. Hamish McDunn, and he's trying to like establish that kind of connection. None of it is surprising though, and all of it is kind of stuff that you've talked about before. What does your office look like when you go into it?
So I think I described this in the first episode, but it's what I like to define as very organized chaos, where the stuff is organized towards Beverly's preferences, but maybe wouldn't make sense to any average person who would just come in and like try and look through her things. So she has like this very large, nice desk that she inherited from like a previous professor, with this lavish kind of chair, and her table, it has like one of those big calendars underneath on top of it, and with dates and stuff kind of marked in her own shorthand.
Okay, perfect. So we'll say you and Shima bring in all these books. You probably have bookshelves. It's a faculty office, so you have places to store them or whatever. And then does Shima go off, you said, back to her dorm, wherever she's staying, on or off campus? Okay.
Dorms on campus.
Okay. So you split for a bit. So Bev, it's at this point, it's like middle of the day. You've gotten back to campus. You have a handful of just like really mundane types of messages. You have that one kind of lingering thorn in your side with McDunn, but that's about it. You set your books down. Shima heads off. Like the general gist from Frank Kearns is that at some point there's going to be a meeting with Janet, and until that time, you're at your own leisure. So what does Bev get to, do you think, for the rest of the day?
I honestly think until it's time for her to go home, and I do believe she will be taking the majority of these books home with her.
Okay.
She will just kind of find one and dig into it. And maybe she also takes the time to reach out to some of her other fellow professors that she hasn't gotten to speak to. There's one, Fa Li, who she kind of defers to within the department. And yeah, okay. So that's kind of who she reaches out to. Okay.
Fair enough. This is, you said Fa Li, is that was his name?
Yeah, so Fah, and then last name is Lee.
Got it. Okay. All right. Fair enough. So if you reach out, if they're in the same department, you could probably just go down the hall.
Yeah.
I would imagine. Order a different floor, knock on the door, and there you see your colleague at work grading term papers, pen out, reading, hand over the forehead, looking tired, looking frustrated, looking like they made terrible choices in life to end up in this position. All those usual things that people start to feel when they grade term papers. And what is so Folly, young, old, man, woman?
Older.
What are we dealing with? Okay, older
gentleman.
Okay. He looks up. He's like, oh, Beverly. Oh, goodness gracious. Where have you been? Oh, God, this is awful. Absolutely awful. I think this was one of yours in first year. Oh, goodness.
Oh, no.
Well, come in. Kind of waves you in.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say because they're older, they're going to have a fancy-ass leather couch in their office. Because that sounds fun.
She'll go through and kind of, because this is something that they've kind of done before. And so she'll sit down, and he probably hands her off a couple of like papers to start grading herself as they catch up together. And she'll kind of touch on like what she's been doing, how she's attempting to acquire a grant for the department, that she's, assisting, the Walters. And she is kind of reaching out to him because one of his languages that he's proficient in is Thai.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And,
sure.
I don't think she actually got the little note that we had that's in Thai. But she'll reach out to him. I'm
perfectly fine with saying that because you have this colleague, you probably would have made a point of taking that with you. I don't see any reason to belabor it.
Awesome.
But yeah, that's fine.
And it's that she would approach him about maybe translating that note.
Okay. Let me dig it back up. Talk amongst yourselves for a minute. I got to dig it back up. I wasn't prepared.
Sorry. I should have
messaged Thai note
you.
Again? Just a reminder.
Sorry?
What was the Thai note?
So that was a note that was found in one of the flop houses, I believe.
It was found in the pocket of the guy that Johnny murdered.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
in the
Yeah.
flop house. So yes, it was in the flop house, the second flop house.
Yeah.
Nectar Den.
And it was like we think it was like an advertisement or something, if I remember correctly.
With
Yep,
like a
okay.
note scribbled on top.
Yep.
Yeah.
I got it. Okay. So he takes a look at it. He does the classic, pulls the glasses out. Oh, well, let me see what you have here. What puts it on? Oh, good. And still like leans his head back to read. It's an advertisement for a fragrant honey shop.
Oh.
It's quite faded and old. I thought you were going to California.
I was very surprised to come across this.
My
but it's
understanding,
kind of-
California is becoming very international.
Extremely. It was very enlightening while we were out there.
Hmm.
Does it say where the honey shop is located?
And kind of flips it over. I'll tell you what. Give me a luck test.
Okay.
Give me a luck test.
98. Am I allowed? I'm not allowed to spend luck to reach.
No, luck is just a
You have
is a thing.
87 luck. My gosh.
You failed a luck test when you have 87 luck.
I know.
Yeah.
It looks like there was some sort of address here, but I think there's some sort of smudge on it that seems to be obscuring it. No. Certainly Bangkok, though. That I can be sure of. The street address, however, is very... I can't make heads or tails about it.
Interesting.
Okay. So we'll say, as the two of you continue grading, because it's always fun to grade in pairs, because you can
Yes.
just look at each other and realize you made bad choices too.
I feel like that's like a good point of it, where there's not a lot of talking going on. It's just a lot of like looks and sighs.
We'll touch in with Shima then. So where does Shima go? Shima goes to her dorm.
Shima goes to her dorm, but before she goes to her dorm, she does kind of look very embarrassed at Marie, and I'm really sorry, Miss Wynn. I think I hurt you, and I didn't mean to hurt you.
Oh no, we've all, darling, we've all had our hallucinations and dreams and visions and whatnot. I will be doing a gargle soon, though. But I understand, Miss Oberon. It's okay. We're all
Look,
seeing
they're-
things.
They're clean. My nails are clean.
Yes. And she's still a little put off, but she's still kind of like patting you on the arm and like saying all of the things. But
No, so she specifically apologizes to you and is very embarrassed. Is the point? But she does wind up in her dorm room, and it's like one of the cheaper / poorer dorm rooms that are. There's like 4 people, 4 beds, 4 single beds in here. There's a couple of desks. There's a few wall-mounted bookshelves. There's, personal photos from the other women that are in here, but there's really not a whole lot of like personality or space in this room. But that's where Shama is going. She's going back to her room. She will stop at the RA, and she expects a message from her parents just checking in and saying hi. She also wants to see if there's maybe a response from her friend Charlie, who she sent a telegram to from Savannah saying, "I'm going to LA, don't tell my parents."
Okay. So I'm going to say you're going to be in Dorothy Upman Hall, which, so that's the name of it. And it's specifically named after an Archimite by the name of Dorothy Grace Upman, who in 1875 gave a sizable endowment to the university on the condition that it be used for women. And so you have this dormitory that's specifically for women. And this is all in the new Arkham guide that I'm sort of playing around with here.
I love that.
So yeah, you head over to your RA, and not unlike Beverly, not RA is not necessarily like a secretary, but does collect messages. We'll say that the dorm itself probably has a phone, and those are allocated, or maybe you even have like a mailbox, and your messages are put in the mailbox, right? And you start going through them, and you're not wrong. You have messages from your parents. All of them, none of them seem overly concerned, but the fact that you've been gone for a week and a half or so between Savannah and LA, you do start to notice a change in tone as the more recent messages, you're looking at the dates of them. Like you can sense like, oh, you must be really busy with studying for this or studying for that, or graduation's coming soon, so you must be really hard at work, and that's probably why you're not replying to your parents. Like guilt tones are starting to come in.
That scares Shama more than the fucking mouth.
Okay. And then you do get a message back from Charlie, but Charlie's is much more excited. So you can see that they're really excited for you, and they just like, when you get back, you have to let me know how was it. I always wanted to go to California, and so you can see like there's like a general like exuberance and excitement to them that matches perhaps Shima's own. Okay. So once you get your messages, what's next for Shima?
She's gonna immediately try and get in touch with her folks.
Okay. All right. Do they live here? Like where do they live?
They live, I imagine they live in Arkham.
Okay.
Probably in a poor part of town because they're an interracial couple, like he's Indian,
sure,
she's white, and also he is a skilled factory worker, she's a seamstress. So I imagine they're in a poor part of town. I don't know what that is, honestly.
Okay. I can probably dig into it more.
They are local, is my point.
Yeah. It could just be the merchants section, or it could be Rivertown. It could be Rivertown makes most sense. It has like a junkyard and blacksmith, so it sounds a little bit more industrial. So yeah, we'll say Rivertown. Okay.
Awesome.
All right. Do you go visit them, or do you just call them?
I am going to call them and let them know I will be visiting shortly.
Okay. So do you want, what's worse for Shima, if her father gets on the phone or if her mother gets on the phone?
Well, actually, they don't have a phone at home.
So you're just leaving a message
she's
to
leaving
direct
a
to them.
message with like a store nearby that they normally get messages.
No
from.
problem. All right,
And
so then we won't do the
smart
conversation.
enough to fucking know that.
Okay. So we'll say you leave a message, you inform them that you're back and that you're going to come see them soon. No problem.
Not that I'm back, just that
you're gonna come
I
see them soon?
have been unavailable and I am now available.
You don't mention that you actually had left.
No,
okay.
No.
We're going to go to Marie then. Marie, everyone says goodbye. We see the scene of everyone saying goodbye. Frank saying, I'm sure Janet will reach out and organize some kind of meeting. What does Marie do after leaving the airport?
So I would say that Marie is going to see if she can call on a friend of hers. So she has an old friend from Chicago who relocated to this area, who's kind of on the outskirts. She's much more of a kind of nature-y kind of a person. Okay.
All right. What's their name?
So their name is Nancy Lombard.
Okay.
And Nancy has basically the permanent care of Marie's cat, Clara. It's just sort of the, hey, can you watch my cat? For me, that has just turned into a Marie is clearly never taking this cat back because Marie is always sort of like out and about and traveling. And Clara really at this point is Nancy's cat.
Okay. So we'll say you pay her a visit. She has, as you say, an apartment on the outskirts of town. By the time you get there, since it's outskirts, we'll say you get there kind of mid to late afternoon. It's been overcast all day. Rain starts to fall a little bit, but nothing too heavy. the first thing all of you obviously would notice when you get out of the airplane and you start kind of moving to these various buildings is that the temperature is so much cooler here than it was in California. Like there was like this constant warmth, but here you're feeling like it's kind of sinking, getting into your chest here and there. This coolness, this autumn coolness. And when you arrive, you call on her. There's a ringing of the bell. You hear a shuffling. You hear the door, a chain, such pulls open, and there you see your friend Nancy, who I'm going to imagine is she somewhat hippie like, as she is naturey and she likes cats. What does she look like?
Oh no, absolutely. She is quite fetching, actually. She's very attractive in that, like, never has an ounce of makeup on her, doesn't put effort into her hair necessarily, but is just still absolutely stunning always.
Okay.
And always looks like she's been gardening and in the dirt and whatnot.
So she just says like, Marie, oh my goodness, you're here. Oh God, come here. And then she just like gives you like a big old hug, and she starts dragging you into her apartment. You look around, small apartment, nothing grandiose at all, right? It's probably just like a one room, and there is like a curtain that separates like some of it to kind of give the illusion of a second room. There's not a kitchen. There's just like a small little tiny stove in the corner. And you can see your cat is like somewhere high up on a shelf, just peering down at you. I'm going to need you to go ahead, if you could please, and give me a roll to see if they remember you and they care for you. So give me like a animal handling.
Okay, I've got a 60 in animal handling.
Yeah.
I think this might be my first animal handling roll.
See if I can bait some.
I got a 3.
You are barely out of the embrace of Nancy, who ushers you into her apartment, when your cat leaps off the shelf and into your arms. And you can see it's just sort of squirming around and purring, and is just extraordinarily happy to see. Oh God, she's been worried sick. I'll tell you, she's barely been eating. She's barely been sleeping. I think she just misses her mommy, is what it is.
Oh, Princess Clara, you should know by now. I always take my trips and I always come back, and you know you're safe here. But she's still, cuddling Clara. And,
sure.
I know Nancy's taking good care of you. Right. Nancy's taking good care of you. She's like giving your kisses.
Of course I am. Of course. Oh, you're talking to the, okay. And you just hear the cat kind of purr here and there. So as we'll say you set your things down, you commiserate with Nancy, the cat gets some drinks out, pops open a bottle of wine or whatever she might have, some cheap booze, as she's probably not particularly affluent. And at a certain point, as the two of you are drinking, maybe you're halfway through that bottle, you've had 2 drinks, and you're feeling a little happy, a little tipsy, and the cat has been right up against you, right up against your leg, kind of purring, and maybe up into your lap and sleeping. You smell something. You smell
Nancy,
smoke.
Do you not smell that? Are you?
Oh my God, Marie, your bag. And you look over, Marie, towards where you had set your bag off on a table, and it is inflamed. You see this huge monstrous flame. It's at least 3 feet high between the blaze and the smoke. And you can see this billowing blackness is kind of going up into the ceiling itself. What do you do?
Oh goodness. And so I imagine there's sort of like a blanket or something that,
Sure.
was sort of next to her. And so she's going to kind of just like a little abruptly throw the cat off of her lap, grab the blanket.
Throw the cat onto the flame? Just beat the flame out with the cat? Give me a dodge roll, actually, to see if you can put this out without burning yourself.
Oh, 35. I'll take a boost to make that under 45.
Okay.
Oh my gosh,
You
that's
just
my
rolled
second
2 threes
in a row.
You're able to put the fire out without harming yourself, without harming your cat, and honestly, without even really harming the blanket that much. You can see that the blanket itself is probably still salvageable. But when you kind of dust everything off, when you like you can see Nancy's over opening a window and she's kind of, sort of fanning the smoke out. You can see that where your bag was, it is now this sort of charred pile of ash. And even the table itself has been damaged by the fire itself. So and the thing is like when you look down, you had a few things in there, some of your own items here and there, maybe a gun that you had from the mafia folk. It's probably still recognizable, but anything else in there that would have been paper or that would have been small, like something small and fragile, and most notably, Henslow's notebook is now ash.
No. And so Marie is, trying to collect all of this stuff, and she just sort of picks that up, and she hasn't shared anything with Nancy about exactly what she's doing, but she's just sort of deflated, and she's trying to, I imagine she's trying to, maybe the spine was just still together and she's trying to pick it up and it's just all falling.
And it's just falling apart. Give me a sand test. As far as you know.
16 under 58.
Okay, you're holding it together, but I mean, maybe there was a candle over there or something, but otherwise, like you're pretty sure there wasn't. You're pretty sure it was just sort of an empty, flat counter. You put the things on top of it, and that was that. Like you don't recall there being, and you didn't have anything. You didn't have any matches, maybe, or you didn't even have a lighter. There was nothing in there, and it's just like spontaneously caught on fire right then and there, and it's just the strangest look. As you start sweeping away some of the ash, you realize like it almost looks like there's a pattern in the top of the counter. Like it's a wood grain, and you can see some of the black char, and you can see it almost looks like there's like a curled upper lip, kind of a curled bottom lip, and a tooth or two hanging down like this kind of fang. And then you can see kind of hidden behind those others, there's like, but no, it couldn't possibly be. It's just smudge. It's just a black smudge.
And at that, her eyes will sort of go wide. And I imagine Nancy's been kind of helping her with everything. And she's going to try to turn herself a little bit and try to grab a rag or something and just try to not let Nancy see that, because obviously she's seen just how distressed we've all been getting at seeing these things. And so she's just going to try to kind of wet a rag and just kind of just
cleaning it up. No problem. You're doing as best you can. It's damaged, but you're doing the best you can. Your cat like hops up, starts fiddling and poking around with some of the debris that's left over. A page here they kind of catch in their mouth, and they kind of start playing around with it here and there, swiping at it.
Shoot! Nancy, I am so terribly sorry that I spoiled your table.
It's fine. I'm sure. Are you smoking again?
I did not travel with flammable items. I did not.
You didn't travel with flammable items. Well, I didn't have a candle on the countertop, and it didn't just spontaneously combust, so.
And she sort of like cocks her head to the side a little bit of like, well, and then
smoking is not good for your voice.
Oh, well,
that's your moneymaker.
But sometimes there's the certain sultry songs that you try to do that it can actually help a little bit if you just take a few puffs before. It's really trick of the trade.
Your arena, though. So I heard this wonderful phrase the other day. It was a gentleman I heard on the street. He said, "Stay in your lane." Isn't that lovely? What a wonderful phrase. So stay in your lane.
Well, I suppose with automobiles, we're just coming up with all types of language that we didn't have before. Now that's just.
Oh, I was at the grocer. That's where I was. And we'll cut out of there as the two of you continue to bicker, and we'll finally go back over to Pastor Wood. So Pastor Wood, you've had time. You had like 40 minutes.
Okay. Come on now.
2 weeks and 40 minutes.
I had home scenes ready.
We're going to get to this. I just wanted to get the initial thing down first.
He would go to the nearest Western Union,
Sure.
telegraph office. And he would try to use their phone to call the hotel that they abruptly checked out of to see if a message had been left for him. And then he would also send a new telegram to his family again, saying where he is now and where he could be reached.
Okay. So give me a luck test as you call the hotel that you all had been staying at for the last week.
That's a
out in
fail.
Los Angeles.
57 over 36.
And as you go through some basic pleasantries and you kind of establish your identity, the room, etc., who would have paid for it, because you weren't actually the one who paid for it. I think Bev really paid for everybody's stuff. I'm not sure. Anyhow, they say, I'm so very sorry, sir. We have no messages for you. We do, however, have a message for a Miss Beverly Key. And Edward Exley is inquiring about her whereabouts.
Oh, I'm sure that's unimportant. Don't worry about that.
Oh, I will throw it away then. Thank you. I'm so very sorry. And then you once more you message your family. You send another telegram, and that is that. Okay. Anything else you do the initial day?
Yeah.
When you
So he doesn't have anywhere to stay.
Mhm.
So I think he would decide it's time for a haircut.
Okay. So you go in to the P&P barbershop, and it's a little later. This is after Patrick has probably gotten cleaned up. This is after Patrick has probably spoken with Peter for a little bit. Maybe you even cut someone's hair. And so we'll say this is like nearing end of business day, Patrick. And you hear the ping, and you see
Hey,
him
welcome
walking
in. We're just closing in, but we can fit you in.
Well, excellent. I need a little off the top.
Yeah, come on, sit down. And I'm like brushing away here, not really looking at who it is.
Just curious, is there a friends and family discount?
Why, sir? I still would. What brings you in?
Well, like I
Besides my
said, I
haircut.
need a little off the top. It's been a while since I've had a proper trim.
All right, come on, sit down. I'll give you something good.
And then as we're sitting down, Pastor would feel out like, hey, do you have a couch around here?
I mean, it's not quite a couch. A couple seats over there.
Oh, that'll work. Yeah, I'll stay here then.
You want your haircut here?
Well, yes, I want a haircut, but I also need somewhere to sleep. Those seats will do fine.
A shave wouldn't be so bad either. You look a little rugged. Unless that's the
thank
look
you.
you're
Yeah,
going
Patrick,
for.
you mind throwing a shave on there as well?
Oh, certainly.
On my tab.
Tab. Yeah, we can get one open.
Well, we don't really do tabs here, so.
An old friend, Peter. It's fine.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Sure. I thought I knew all your old friends, but all right, that's fine. When they get, he's getting married soon. So, Mr. Old Friend.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Best man's right here. Okay, so you can just, back away. I've been working on my speech. That's gonna be wonderful.
No worries. I only met him a week or two ago.
Oh. Wait, why are we giving him then a friends and family discount if you only knew him for a week?
It was a long week.
It was a hell of
Fair
a
enough.
week.
Fair enough. You too. Yeah, he didn't look too good when he came in here either, and you look even worse. Probably 20 years older than him or something, but anyhow. So
I've got like swollen face and everything, and I'm
been-
asking for a shave.
and a broken nose, and like you have been beaten up. I get your characters mixed up, but both of them have been beaten up pretty bad.
You always
Okay.
go for the face, Jeff.
It's your moneymaker, man. All right. We'll say your initial day, you've returned, you've seen the people you want to immediately see, you've contacted the people you want to immediately contact. And so what we'll say now, what we'll do is we're gonna do a round. So this is gonna be like sort of a montage thing. This is gonna be however long we want it to be. Now there's a couple things to consider here as we break for do some business. Patrick, You're dealing with some insanity issues. Now, it's up to you whether or not you want to try to get care for that. I think you're the only person here who has suffered from some kind of permanent insanity. And because of that, if you wanted to try to get some treatment, it's going to take like a month. And you can sort of choose between two different kinds of treatment if you're interested in doing that. One of them is like private care, and one of them is putting yourself into a home, an asylum for a bit. So it's kind of up to you if there's something that you would want to take care of, but it does take about a month to do that.
Okay, I would certainly lean towards the private care instead of going to the institution.
Okay, so what did I say? Not or indefinite. Sorry, not permanent. So private care is kind of expensive. What is your credit rating?
I have a credit rating of 40.
Okay. All right. So if you wanted to try to get some private care, I would say if you took some time and you did some basic looking in the yellow pages or the equivalent of that, or asking around, you would effectively find two options for yourself in terms of private care. Both of them in the city of Arkham. You would have a choice between let me see here. There's a private psychiatric hospital called the Gordon Psychiatric Home, but it has private rooms, but it is a hospital itself. There's a Dr. Heinrich T. Mulhig, but he only treats people by referral. And then there is, let's see, there's Dr. Alan Turner, who is apparently dealing with some sort of newfangled psychoanalysis, whatever the hell that means. And then there is the Pickering Psychopathic Hospital, which is definitely not what you would want to do. So if you're looking for something private, you could try to get a referral for Dr. Heinrich Mulhig, but it's going to require you to perhaps call in a favor from somebody who could make that connection. Do you know anybody, Patrick, who might be rich, wealthy, family might have connections to the pharmaceutical or medical industry? Anybody like that you might know?
No one comes to mind immediately. I have to call Jennifer a favor. Oh, God.
Sure. Is that what you want to do?
Yeah, I'll do it.
Okay. So we'll say, we'll just cut right to the chase. We'll say you get Janet on the phone, and you can hear her. Patrick, my darling, I'm so glad to see you're back. Wonderful, wonderful. I'm not quite ready to meet. I have a few odds and ends I have to do, but I'll send an invitation out for you and the rest of your little party, your little group, and we'll have a proper sit down. We'll discuss next steps to see whatever it is that you all learned out there in the great state of California. But until then, I'm quite a busy woman, I must say. So it'll have to wait.
I only need a small favor to get the referral to the doctor.
You are calling me for a favor. How very interesting. You call me for a favor. Oh.
I thought it was a sort of a favor for a favor thing. I do something for you, you could do something for me.
Well, I suppose that's true. You are looking into this business with Daddy, so... But I don't think you're doing that for me. I think you're doing that for yourself.
Oh, you're right about that, but it helps both of us.
What kind of referral are we talking about here? This is a business proposal? You and your lady friend running out of money? Is that what it is? You need a venue?
Not quite. My head's not feeling right. I'm seeing things, hearing things.
Oh.
I need this new psychiatric evaluation stuff. Not too familiar.
You know, my father had such issues. Now you do. I highly doubt that's a coincidence. And you know what happened to him.
Very well, but if this new medicine could help me a bit, could it be a better understanding for your father?
Well, perhaps you're just not quite up to it now, are you? We can find someone else to take your place on the team if the investigation is going to continue. I wouldn't want your delicate personality to be, well, so fractured. I would feel so very guilty if something terrible happened to you.
No, of course not. I want to see this through. See what really happened to him.
go ahead and give me a roll. You can choose persuade or charm. Either of those is fine. Because I think that's probably the only two that would make sense. I don't think you were lying.
I'll go with my persuade of 30.
Okay.
Ching.
All right.
65, but I'll spend the luck. I've got it.
Spend some luck. Okay. And she's like, I'll contact someone in my offices and they'll make sure you get your referral. Now, I wouldn't want my father's favorite son to have such trouble. Now,
Thanks for hearing me out.
Go get some rest there, Patrick. I want you to be in tip-top shape when we have our degree.
I'll see you soon.
Tip-top. Oh, I look forward to it. And so we'll say you begin so you head downtown at some point to meet with a Dr. Heinrich T. Mulig. This is all kind of happening in montage style. You head to 19. This is all from the book, by the way, the new Arkham book, which is awesome. It's set in 1922, so it's not perfect for us at 1936, but the bases are there at least. But you head downtown, 197 East Current Street, and you set up an appointment, or at least you sort of get your referral from Janet Winston Rogers. When you head inside the offices, you most certainly and without much difficulty are able to get onto the radar of the doctor himself, because the name Winston Rogers, the name Winston goes a long way in many medical circles because of their influence when it comes to medicine and pharmaceuticals. Because again, that's where Walter Winston made most of his money. But when you see him, when you meet him, you sit down with him. He's like a man mid to late 60s or so. He's got a big old bushy mustache that has kind of gone from, clearly it was black at one point. It's probably gone gray, very salt and pepper, fairly portly. And you can see he's got these big, thick glasses as he's sitting in this leather chair, and he motions for you to sit. You must be a Mr. Patrick Price. Wonderful to meet you. You're a friend of of Miss Winston Rogers. She is a fine woman. Her father would be quite proud with what she has done with his companies. Now please, any friend of Miss Winston Rogers is a perfectly suitable patient of mine. Now sit.
Pleasure to meet you, doctor. I'll have a seat.
And so he just kind of looks at you, he tilts his head, and he's just like, "No, what seems to be the problem?" And we'll just sort of fade out of that as you kind of start going through, and we'll touch back later and we'll see exactly how much you actually share. Let's go back to Pastor Wood. Pastor Wood, you keep waiting day after day for some kind of contact from your family. And I'm going to say after 4... Yeah, go ahead.
3 or 4 days. That makes sense, actually.
I was going to say 4.
If we're not going to have the meeting with Janet immediately, Pastor Wood would start driving down to where he expects them to be.
And where is that? Where do you think that's going to be?
I think, let's say Virginia would be the northernmost of their circuit, West Virginia.
Okay.
Out in Appalachia.
Okay. So we'll say after a couple days of you crashing on Patrick's couch, getting weird looks and jealous looks from Patrick's other best friend, Peter, you finally rent a car or whatever, or even if you had one yourself, and you head down. Maybe you even take a train halfway or whatever it might be, but you travel down and you find yourself heading into Virginia. So how does Pastor Wood go about finding his flock?
So we would have a circuit of towns, not really cities. We tend to stay in smaller places that we go through, and he's been doing this for over a decade now, so it's kind of like a well-trodden path. And he would just start going to some of the places that he knows that they've been to before, and just try to, when he gets to that town, he would ask if they've been there. If he's heard if they've been here recently, he would go on to the next town, and so on.
Okay, I'll give you one of two things. You can either do, let's say, track. I'll take track. I was going to say luck, or I was going to say, but I'll take track. Track makes sense in this case. you're hunting
25
down-
under 80.
Okay. It doesn't take you long at all. It's the second place you go in the circuit. The first place you go, they're not there. Maybe they were recently there within the last few days, but they've moved on. But eventually you do find your family. You do find your circuit church, and you find a space outside of town. And you can see various tents are set up. You can see there's cars and trucks and stuff. It's not like a carnival kind of look to it, but you can definitely tell there's a grouping. There's a convoy, and they've parked here and there and separately. You seem to have arrived after a sermon has been concluded, and so as you come up, you can see there's people who are milling about. Some cars pass by you as they drive away. It's thundering a little bit overhead. You can see there's a storm like on the horizon, but it's not too terrible. A lot of wind and such. A handful of trees where you can see like there's kids playing around in. But you drive up, you can see everything's familiar. You probably recognize some people who work or who stay with the convoy. What do you do when you arrive?
I would immediately start searching for my brother, Elijah.
Okay, so it doesn't take long before you find him. You maybe ask a question or two. You find him inside the main tent. You can see he's talking to a few people who work there, like kind of pointing to some sort of problem with the tent. There's like a big tear in it. You can see like this big, and like they've been trying to stitch it every now and then. And that's what you hear as you come up, and you hear him kind of say like, well, the next time we take it down, we're gonna have to stitch it up even better. We might even need to get like a completely different patchwork to put it on up there. We gonna have some trouble. But Zeph, is that you?
Elijah.
Zeph, oh my God, ain't you a sight for sore eyes? Oh goodness, I haven't seen
Where's-
you.
Where's Carmela and Obi?
Oh, they're around here somewhere. I saw him in Carmela. Wait, well, there's Obi right there. Hey, boy, come say hi to your pappy. And you see your son comes over. How old's your son?
11.
Okay,
so he's growing, but he's still pretty short. And
Yeah,
I
so
just
he comes
grab him, pick him up in a big hug. I had him pretty late in life, so I'm an older parent.
Okay.
And I just do the normal like, oh my, how you've grown. It's only been a week or so, but yeah. Where's your mother?
Oh, I think she's outside. I saw her talking with some new parishioners and such. Some folks have been kind of coming around and following us from one town to the next. Lots of new faces. Mom's been doing a real good job.
Be a good lad. Take me to her.
Okay. And he leads you outside. And as you walk out, you have this fit of deja vu as you look over towards her. And oh my goodness, if this isn't the exact image that you saw in your dream. Her back to you, talking with a group of people. You even see the storm on the horizon, scattered couple of trees, a couple folks moving about in their cars, loading in, loading out. Vague faces of people playing around here and there. I need you to roll a sand test as you start to feel your heart beat rapidly.
That is a 30 under 59.
Okay, go ahead and take a point of sand loss, as it is unmistakably the exact same moment.
And I remember Pisner being opposite her, so I keep my sanity, but I'm still very stressed. So my hand drops down to my belt where I'm wearing my gun belt, and I yell out, "Carmela!"
Turns around.
Who is that?
Zeph! Oh, Zeph, darling, come here. Come meet one of our new parishioners here. Oh my goodness, look at you. Come over here. And she's kind of like
Zeph
waving you down.
Really does run to her.
You run over there, and when you get over there, you can see that there was a group of people that she was talking to, and they've kind of split up at this point, but the one that was directly across from her has remained. And as you move around, and you can actually see the figure that she's talking to, it is a man in his 40s, maybe. Not quite as old as you, but maybe getting close. Suit, wide brim hat, big hook nose, but he's very, very tan. And when you get up close, you realize it's not Pisner.
There's like a physical relief that like overcomes Pastor Wood, and he lets out a sigh, and his breathing starts to calm down. He gives Carmela a hug and a kiss on the cheek.
It's good to see you, sweetie. It's good to see you. Let me introduce you to this here is Gerald. This here is Gerald. Gerald, this is my husband. This is Pastor Zephaniah Wood. And he turns towards you.
I go to shake hands.
And he's like, oh, like I said, just call me Jerry. Call me Jerry. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. And starts shaking your hand. I was wondering if I was going to get so lucky. It's a pleasure to meet you. Pleasure to meet you.
Do I get a psychology roll on here? Because he sounds a little familiar.
If you would like to, go right ahead. Absolutely.
Yes, can I roll for being paranoid?
Fucking laugh.
55 under 77.
55 under 77. Called himself Jerry. And he cackles. The way he kind of cackles, the way he's grinning at you, it's definitely giving you those vibes. You're not sure, obviously, just by looking at him, but it's giving you those vibes. And more than that, you get a bad sense from him that he is kind of, he doesn't feel authentic to you. You might even suspect that that's not his real name.
Where are you from, Jerry?
Oh, me? Out west, sunshine, ocean. I just can't coming east, for business. Yeah.
And you've been following the congregation for a bit now?
Oh, just a few days now. Just a few days. But I don't know. What would you say, Carmela? It was 4 or 5 days now. 4 or 5 days. Oh, I think that's about right. About 4 or 5 days. Yeah. Back outside Charlottesville. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's right. Right outside of Charlottesville. Oh, what a wonderful coincidence. I was just I was feeling lost. And I needed direction. And then I wake up, I'm driving around one morning, I look off on the horizon and I see these big tents. I'm like, oh, what could that possibly be? What could that possibly be? I come on over here and then it's just, I see this beautiful shining angel right over here. Oh, stop it, Gerald, stop it. And she's just welcomed me into this wonderful tent.
He's referring to Carmela?
Yeah. They're very, they're bantering very nicely with one another.
I punch him.
Okay. Go ahead and roll your attack. Give me a melee.
Oh God, no!
How dare you make a joke with my wife?
98 over 61. No.
Is that a crit? Is that a crit fail? Is that fumble?
Am I allowed to push?
So fumble. What's your
you
skill?
You can't in combat. Never mind.
What's your skill?
61.
Okay, so it's not a fumble. Okay, so what'll happen is you go to swing, and he doesn't even really try to dodge. He's just there, kind of laughing, looking at you while they're joking, and he just kind of turns and you just kind of stumble as your feet get caught underneath you. Maybe Obi, your son, is kind of on your side still, and you have to shift, and you fall right down to the ground. You completely miss. Everyone can see it, and you face plant right in the other. Like, Zephaniah, what on earth are you doing? What is wrong with you? Oh, I am so very sorry. I'm so very sorry, Gerald. I don't know what's gotten into him. I don't know what's gotten into him at all. Oh my goodness. Oh, Obi, go get your uncle. Go get your uncle. What?
I start clawing up and pulling at him, trying to pull him to the ground too.
And okay, so you start pulling him, kind of like, and he's just like, but Pastor, what's going on? Come on, stop it. Why are you so touchy? So touchy. Is everything all right? Oh my God, he seems to be Carmela, I don't know what I did to your husband here. We ain't an item. I'm just a parishioner.
By the time I stand up, I grab like his collar and I pull him close. You stay away from my family, you son of a bitch.
Oh boy, you're real touchy. I didn't. It's just jet lagged or something. Just it's okay. Okay. And he just kind of pats you gently on his cheek.
I ever see you. No, I tell you what, I will see you again. You'll be lucky if you see me again.
Oh boy, yeah, this this guy. Oh, you've got one strong husband. Oh my goodness, look at the grip on him. Oh my God, it's that old man strength. Well, I'm sorry, Carmel. I was really enjoying the sermons and stuff, but it seems your husband just doesn't care.
Oh, you just stop it, Gerald. Zephaniah, get your hands off of one of our parishioners right now. And you can see a crowd has started to form, and people are like whispering about you. And there's one or two people who have come up and are trying to pull you away from him. What do you do, Pastor?
I'll let him pull me away, but I do give Carmela a look that I'm serious.
Okay. Roll like intimidation as you shine your mean face over towards her.
I'm not necessarily trying to intimidate her.
No,
but like we've known each other for so long now. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
It's the
27
look.
over 23. So I'll spend the 4 to make it a success.
Okay. And so she looks at you, and like a moment of like recognition comes over her face. You can tell she looks skeptical. The two of you have known each other for so long. Like there's skepticism, but she looks back at him. She looks back at you, and she just like peacemaker. I'm sorry, Jet. Why don't you just go ahead and maybe some other time? Maybe some other time. I'll go with you. Oh, sure, no problem. I don't want to cause any trouble. But I didn't realize he was going to be so upset. Anyhow, you go ahead and you two have a very nice night. Yeah, have a very nice night. I'm sorry to bother you. I'm sorry to bother you there, Mr. Pastor, Mr. whatever the hell your name is. All right, see ya. Hey, yeah, tell your brother I said goodbye. He's a good guy on that one. All right. Looks like the hothead kind of fell on this side. And he starts like backing off and just kind of gritting and pointing out at you, etc.
I'm watching him to like make sure he leaves. I know people are holding me back and they're probably like asking me what the hell happened, but I'm not taking my eyes off him until he leaves.
Okay. And you just watch him. He's like, gets into a car and he slowly drives away. He stops for a second. He's about to turn into the main road and he leans back out. Seeing ya. And then gets back and like kind of pulls himself back in and drives away.
Carmela, that man means our family harm.
Zephaniah, I am sure you're very tired, and I'm sure you have the greatest of intention. But that man has been nothing but very kind, and he was a lost and wayward soul. And our congregation gave him some direction. And
He is a lost soul, but he is beyond redemption.
Beyond
I
redemption.
don't say that lightly.
Beyond redemption. Keep your voice down. Nobody is beyond redemption, Zephaniah. You said that very thing to me when we first met. That's why I love you, because you think everybody can be saved with the right amount of attention.
We have things to discuss. Could we? I apologize, everyone. It's been a rough trip. If you don't mind, I'd like to talk with my wife and my son for a moment and reconnect with my roots.
You can see everyone starts to kind of split up at that point, and there's a lot of people kind of turning around, giving you like these strange looks and such. And we'll cut from there. Okay. Who are we going to go to next? Let's go to Bev. Bev, home scenes. I asked you all to come up with like little home scenes and stuff. Pastor Wood went and met with his family. As we wait for Janet to invite you all to like a debrief thing, you have a lot to go through. I know you said you want to dig into the books. There's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
There's that book that Patrick found that as you were kind of flipping through it briefly, it was like some sort of testament. You can see it was Samson Trammell's testament to the dripping mouth's imminence. And then you have all these, and it's like nasty and soggy and like has all manner of strange like stains, but you can see it's this kind of combination of his writings and correspondence. And then you have all these other texts. These are academic style texts. These are texts that are the occult variety, historical in some cases, right? Some that you maybe have a vague recollection of a title, or an author. Others you've never heard of before in your life. What would Bev be doing over the next several days? And I'm assuming part of that is research. So walk us through it.
So to start with, she'd get Shima's help. That would be one of the few things she procures. And in between going through all of the books, like to start with, she creates a priority list of like what's most important, like what should we focus on first, and then what books can we get to later. And then in between that, she starts reaching out to like the important people in her life. So she sends a telegram to Ed letting him know that she did have to return home, but that she's hoping that they can reconnect soon and maybe he could come visit her. And then she also, like in one of the evenings, sends him like writes a kind of salacious letter that she sent him. And then she also reaches out to her dad. They have kind of like a weird relationship where it's not so much like father-daughter really anymore. It's more of like colleagues. Ever since her mom passed, her dad has really withdrawn into himself, and so she looks a lot like her mom. So it kind of hurts him for them to spend too much time together. So most of their communication is through like telegrams or letters. And yeah. And that's just kind of where she's at. It's kind of she just dips right back into her routine. And then she's excited for the research.
I rolled a check. You get you do get, since you said a telegram initially from Ed, kind of confirming you'd left, etc. Checking in with him, you'll get one back as well. And it's a telegram, so it's not salacious because you'd have to
definitely
narrate that to somebody who sends it. So, but it is very, he is.
That's why the letter was salacious,
right? So, but if you float the idea of him visiting, he definitely seems interested after the current term or something like that. So you remain on good terms with Ed Exley, and maybe even on better once that letter comes. So in terms of the research, what does Bev want to dig into first?
So her attention is definitely drawn to this really just disgusting packet that we found.
Okay.
So that will be the first thing that she touches. But she's also interested in learning Thai. So that will be something that she also begins to reach out to Fa Li for assistance with learning. Okay.
So I'll say, just from a perspective of you would need to focus on something. Learning a language, like I'm not saying you can't do both, but the more you spread your attention, the longer both things are going to take. So
gotcha.
Would you be focusing on one or the other?
Dive in onto the packet first.
Okay.
And then
fair enough.
Once that's kind of resolved itself, that's when she'd lean towards the language.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share something with everybody so that we can all participate in this.
Okay.
Even though Beverly is the one that's reading it, I want us all to participate into it. I'm going to share with you the actual testament. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So this is going to be for everybody. And then we're all going to take turns going around. So I'm going to show it to everybody. So you notice as you open it up, it is a thick sheaf of paper. So this is all, your reading is taking multiple days. This is not just one singular day, but this is Beverly in her home, Beverly at her office. This is all her reading it. But we're going to all take turns in sharing it. So it's not just Ashley and I talking for the next half an hour, no one doing anything. So it is a sheaf of papers and folios, all kind of bound together by twine and rubber bands and nothing in particular. It is not like a bound book. But you can see that there are torn pieces of paper. There are what looks like various things from like letters with different types of letterhead. All of it is kind of bound together, some pasted, some just sticking to certain other pages. You're not entirely sure how. There's definitely a lot of discoloration on some of these pages. So I'm going to start Ashley. So you guys can see like there's several pages and we're going to walk through this together and we're going to use our reading abilities and our descriptive abilities so that everybody can hear it. So Ashley, I'm going to start with you. What do you see on page 1 as you open it up?
So on page 1 is this like horrific mouth in the center, and then around it is a star, and then around the star is kind of an oval shape, and from the oval is these different arrows pointing in all directions. They're different lengths, but it's also really drippy. Like it's kind of like the star is oozing, and there's like kind of like little eye shapes in part of the arrows, it looks like.
This is all like a sketch that, as you look
Yes.
at it, it's a pencil
On this
sketching.
nasty looking piece of paper.
And the more you look at it, Beth, like you start digging in more deeply, the more you start to see smaller little mouth here, smaller eyeball there, a fang here, a tooth here, a drip of some kind of liquid there, but it all is framed around that central mouth that is almost human in some ways, but also gnarled and strange in others. You can see the teeth themselves are shaved left and right. You can see the gums have begun to recede and pull back. There's no lips to speak of, and there's no remainder of the face. As we turn to page 2, let's go over to Pastor Wood. We're going to start at the top and work our way around. Pastor Wood, could you go ahead and give us a read of page 2?
Echeveria's Lie is the title. It is here that my chapter begins, and the name of Samson Trammell will echo down the ages. This is my testament. The documented proof of my journey will lay the foundations of the next chapter of humanity. For all will come to know, like hot breath on untainted flesh, the true meaning of power. They will come to see the truth even as I have seen the truth. In the eye of a virgin, plucked in the eye of an animal as it leaves its mortal coil. In my lover's eyes I have my fill, for I am the voice. I am the mouth of Nyarlathotep. They will know my name, and my name will live on for eons. They will all see that it has come to pass that I am the mouth that feeds the world. Echeveria is gone, like teeth plucked from a jawbone. Echeveria has paid his piper. His lies, his undoing, he will be but a footnote in my story. Yet it was he who set us on the true path when he intended to deceive us. Echeveria lied. Not the worst of his vices, I'll grant. Among the death, the wanton lust, and the pulsing abuse, he sowed his lies to us, his followers. And like simple lambs, we followed and drowned in those lies. His greatest lie, like a snake coiled around our very core, was our belief that Golgoroth guided our hands and bodies in his work. Like the thick, sinuous length of a serpent, the lie wrapped around us, choking us and binding us. Echeveria's lie binds me no further. That final line is underlined.
And then, Marie, go ahead and finish us off on page 3 of that opening salvo.
It seems fitting then that at the start of this testament, I finally dispel the myth propagated by Ramon Echeverria and end his eternal laughter at us, the lambs, so blind. Golgoroth never was the focus of his energies, not then and not now. His force is spent, his legacy undone. Let all who read know that Samson Trammell, through mouth wide open, shouted the truth, and let scour, seize, and burn the lands.
And you notice that as you're reading this, Bev, names are popping out. Golgoroth is not the first time you've heard that. That, as far as you knew, was the focus of the cult in 1924. And here Samson Trammell is claiming otherwise. And he pushed forth some other capitalized figure with a name that I'm going to say Bev wouldn't know, of Nyarlathotep. And all of this is written on these patched together pieces of soggy paper, wrinkled, crumpled, stains. And there are various sketches. Sometimes you can distinguish them, sometimes you can't. Okay, as we turn to the next page. Maitreya, you want to do the next page? Was that page 4?
The Coming of the Black Man is the title. And there is a manic, sketchy drawing in black and white of looks like a man in a suit with his face crossed out, except instead of arms, he has tentacles and tendrils, and some of them joined together to make wings of some kind. And he's kind of towering over it doesn't even look humanoid, but there is some kind of creature that seems to be cowering, and the only thing that's really clear is that maybe they're wearing glasses, and they have long rabbit ears. It's a very unsettling image.
Perfect.
The text says, "He revealed himself to me at first in my dreams, and I felt a warmth like no other in his embrace and his kiss. I was in my gardens at night, the cool summer breeze caressing my naked form, the smell of freshly cut grass around me filling me, night birds chirping their maddening songs, and crickets playing their own tune of sword lust. He came to me, his wet mouth slippery with the truth as it spilled forth, trickling on me and in me. He was a vaulted past, stretching the sands of ancient Egypt. He was a tall man clad in black. His face always seemed in shadow, his features unclear to me. He spoke to me, his melodious voice washed over me, and I was reborn. He spoke to me for many days, the sun rising and falling like a ferocious lover, and he made revelations that I long suspected. He spoke to me, and I knew. Ramon had been lying to me, to us all."
Excellent. Go ahead, Ashley. Finish this off on that 5th page. It's sort of the same entry.
Okay. With honeyed tones and sweet caresses, he moved me again and again. He told me that my time had finally come, that I was to ascend. I was to be the sole and supreme leader of our movement, and all would fall on bended knee and suckle at my glory. I would show my new followers the way to venerate the black man, and he in turn would shower us with fortune and rewards that were long overdue. Then there's some symbols scribbled in the middle of the page. One looks like kind of like the pi symbol turned sideways with 2 dots at the end. And then the other one is kind of like a mirrored cursive N backwards with a slash through it and another dot to the left. His mouths would be the means by which his would manifest his influence, and we in turn could reap the secretions from those most holy orifices, and there would be a boon like we had never imagined. We were his children, and we would inherit all.
All right. And then so that's like these are coming. It's a couple things you notice, Beverly, as you're reading through it. This first like opening testament, he's mentioning different names. He's clearly calling out Ramona Chavarria as having lied and deceived the cult. But as you continue to read, you start to, over the days, again, this is all taking several days, you notice that it's not just his own writing, but he has sort of pasted in some ways into it these bits of correspondence. And at the top of one page, it says, "Our friends in Bangkok." Can you make out that text?
Yeah, it looks like there's 2 pieces of paper taped on another. This is directed at Samson. When dealing with any entity of vast power, it is essential to be fully aware of the nature of that entity. To fail to do this, whether one wishes to worship or to destroy the entity, is to court disaster. This is truly of any supposed god. Why else do you think there have been vast libraries dedicated to exploring the nature of any acknowledged deity you care to name? Priests no less than scholars and sages have long understood. The same is true for our god. We operate in the darkness of ignorance when it is absolutely critical to know the metaphysical nature of what we venerate. You claim that the thing with 1,000 mouths has revealed itself to you. As the blank Something is crossed out here. Samson, I tell you this. You are as like as not to be wrong in your conclusion. I've spent years tracking down works, both common and obscure, sparing no expenses and no resources, using a variety of methods, and all of my researches simply do not reveal and then it's cut off.
Yeah. And then the rest of it continues. It's the same correspondence. You can tell it's the same handwriting. I extend the invitation to you, and indeed to any of your followers, although I am certain you will not accept it, to fight in our rights in Bangkok. You may instruct your disciples to present themselves at the Fragrant Honey Shop in Franakron. I'm not sure if I pronounced that right. Saying to the doorman, I have come to join the circle of excess. And it's signed, just initials, SS. As we can continue, the next big section is, again, this is all taking days, and you're sifting through, and we're only focusing on the things that stand out to you, though. There is a section specifically that references a group of people, or just references the Mexicans. And if you want to go ahead and start that off there, Pastor Wood, what does it say? And what do you see?
Ramon recommended the Mexican connection, and I reforged the link after he had gone. They are lazy and disrespectful and haven't... Okay, don't give this to the guy with the southern accent. They are lazy and disrespectful and have an overinflated opinion of their abilities to further our cause. Ramon had suggested that the power of the mouths may be harnessed. He often said that the voice of the great mouth may have the power to enchant or enlighten. I have tasked out Mexican brothers to further this work. I am still to be convinced by their work. And then there is a record that says Los Discos with a P.O. box, an address on there, grabado en Ciudad de Mexico, and then it's got like the serial number D1018 Lotto A. So side A is for the record, and on the edges of the record is a symbol that repeats. It looks to be some sort of bird, drawn very similar to Mesoamerican stone etchings, and the color changes like in a rainbow.
And Bev, as you're reading this, you would recognize a few things. First, it's the same record that was the sleeve that Marie found when the group of you went to the flop house that morning. Actually, no, I don't think Bev did. Bev wasn't there, but probably described it at some point. Marie would have seen it. So you probably would have the description in your head. And they also have Mexico DF, Mexico Distrito Federales. So it's basically like Mexico City. Like, you know, the address would be in Mexico City. And there's like a whole sequence of correspondence that then starts to follow. All of it seemingly on letterhead that's got that Luz Discos in the same address. It's like letterhead for a business or for a company somewhere within Mexico City. If, Melissa, you want to read those first two bits on page 9.
Yes. So, dear Mr. Trammell, we have been considering the power that comes from a mouth's song. If our merely human mouths have the power to soothe the savage beast with our paltry song, how much more potent would this be? What we could learn. For as Echevarria said, the voice of a great mouth may have the power to enchant or enlighten. Sincerely, J.B. And this is a letter from Los Discos. The second one. Dear Mr. Trammell, everything is in order. Thank you for your trust in us. I promise to you that we shall not let you down. The great mouth's song shall ring out. We have made our first record. I think you will find everything you have hoped. I think you will find it everything you have hoped for. De La Luz and I are very proud of it. We will send it by way of Bangkok. Signed, JB.
As you're reading this, Bev, a few things. You meant when your friends Marie and Patrick and Shima went to the flop house, they debriefed. There was not just this album, but there was this song that was being sung that Marie wrote some notes down, Pastor translated, and then when you were in the basement of Trammell's mansion, or when you were even in the house, you kept hearing the sound of a woman singing, and it was the same song that Marie had heard and Shima had heard and Patrick had heard. Shima, you want to do the next page? It's page 10. And again, we're still on that same Luz Discos letterhead. So more correspondence with a JB.
Yeah. Tremel, I am very glad you like the record. Is it not everything I have promised and more? This is something that has never before been done. We have found a new way to harness our God's power, and the effect in combination with nectar is most potent. But we should go further. We should make a full album, JP, and our God, and nectar is capitalized. The next piece of correspondence on the same page, Tremel. We are indeed working on our next recording. Dilla Luz works hard every day on this, and I have everything under control. We're very excited, as I hope you also are, about the profound possibilities of new songs. JP.
Excellent. The next page, as you continue to sift through this. Now, Beverly, there's in between all of this correspondence, there are other things. There are sketches, there are drawings, there's random thoughts that seem to be just thrown together, observations, a smudge of something. And as you're sifting through all of this, the other thing you notice is that there are, in addition to the correspondence that are pasted in here, the handwritten portions, the writing is different. Every time you see a new page, it's as if like it's a completely different style of handwriting. Even still, the voice, though, all seems to be relatively consistent. And there are times in which you can see that on pages where some of the correspondence has been pasted, there's like little marginalia where you can see like images sometimes drawn and pointed back towards what's been pasted, or there has been a note to self or here and there. So do you want to describe the specific one you're looking at right now in this manner on page 11?
So this one, there's a little note at the bottom and it says, "The black man devours all." And there is this lanky, stringy black man. He's got tentacles and like man-shaped, but it's mostly more of like an entity. And his jaw is open wider than it should be able to, and stringy portions of his skin is ripped in between the different portions of the maw. And it looks like he's feeding himself an infant. And then on one of his other tentacles, there is just, it looks to be a mass that's bleeding. And then another one, it does look to be another half of a body. And then surrounded around this sketch are additional markings and characters. I'm not sure if Bev would know what they are just yet.
No, you wouldn't. It seems to be like his own internal like iconography, and there's no clear understanding of what that might be.
And then above this drawing, there's this note, and it says, "Trammel, the recording is taking longer than we expected, but do not fear. We will have it done soon. You will see. You will be very pleased with the results. I promise, JB."
And then Patrick, on the next page, continues to be more correspondence from the same JB in Mexico at Luz Discos, at least on this letterhead, if you want to read that.
Mr. Trammel, yes, I am profoundly grateful to you. Yes, I know you chose me above all the others to start our operations in Mexico City. I know that we are tasked with maintaining operations here and ultimately making sure the nectar flows through the North and South America. I have not forgotten this. Believe me, please, I have not forgotten it. Yes, production levels are down, but this will be fixed as soon as the new record is done. You have heard already what we have achieved. We can do so much more. I know this. All we need is a little more time. Please be patient. I swear to you, you will not be disappointed. JB. Another one under that, Trammel. We have had some setbacks, but I know that we are now on the right track. Our new album will change everything. You'll see. No, you'll hear it for yourself. De La Luz and I do what we do for our God. Everything will change once the album is done. JB.
And then Pastor, if you can read the last two, and you will notice the date is just a handful of weeks ago. Actually, well, a handful of weeks, so probably a month or so at this point now. Instead, that seems to be the last time a correspondence was pasted in here. If you want to read those last two.
Yeah. Trammel. We are close now, so very close. What we are creating, it will be amazing. It will be a new experience to rival that of Nectar's. It will be worth the wait, you will see. Do not forget that what Dela Cruz and I have accomplished has never before been done, not by you, nor by my Ramon Echeverria, not in Los Angeles or Malta or Bangkok. We have done this thing for our God, that the nectar will flow freely from the great mouths. Nectar distribution will return to its original rates once we've prepared our album. JB. April 1937, T.
It's
Oh,
not
okay.
that date. We've reset it. That's
Oh,
why
yeah,
it says
36.
on that page, ignore the date. That's why it says ignore date. Good job.
I popped out the image so I could read it easier.
Okay.
My bad.
No worries.
The recordings will continue, and we will have our album. You will see them. You and your God will see. We have had setbacks, yes, but Dela Cruz and I know what we are doing. We understand the situation in Mexico City. We are here, and we know what we are doing. You press us for details, but would you truly understand them? Have you told us the full details of what you are doing? Would you think well of us if we were to question your truths as you question ours? We have not lost sight of why we are here. We have given it a great consideration and have come to conclusions about ourselves, our operations, our goals, and the God. We have done new things, true things, and we are continuing to explore and to learn the truth, even when others might wish us to believe old lies. JB.
And Beverly, that's the last correspondence from anyone in Mexico in this testament. And you notice along the way, the tone, the letters change. The reference to God has changed from our God, capital, to just God, to your God, lowercase. Like there's definitely, you can tell at some point in the correspondence where this JB has made a very clear psychological change in the tone and how they refer not just to God, but also to Trammell. Because for so long, they almost seemed deferential to Trammell, deferential to as if Samson Trammell was like in charge, even thanking him. But towards the end, the tone becomes more and more and more kind of combative in a way that you didn't see in the beginning. Okay. The next page. So I'll have Melissa do it. So there's this seems to shift as there's a couple more pages here. And the next thing that kind of catches your attention, Bev, as you're reading, is there's a series of pasted and scribbled notes that has to do with increasing the yield. And so, Melissa, can you kind of describe what you're looking at here on page 14?
Yeah, so previous to that, it had been this loose discos letterhead. And so now it shifts back to kind of notebook paper, kind of that lined, notebook paper. So at the bottom, there's this sort of circular, almost looks like a seal kind of a thing where you've got kind of the outer edge that has just various symbology around the outside. Then within that, there's a smaller circle that has sort of the two triangles, one upside down, one right side up. There's again kind of symbols within the points of all of the smaller triangles there. And then above it is writing that, kind of as referenced, it's different ways of writing on sort of the same paper as they're sort of ripped off and kind of on top of each other. So the very top says, increasing the yield of emanates from the most holy orifices of the thing, S. Trammell. Then below that, slightly different handwriting, Ramon spoke of sacrifice, saying that the greater the sacrifice, the greater the reward. I think he intended to, and then it suddenly shifts to this very different font that makes no clear readability sense, capitalization, and it looks a little more like a typewriter font, sort of, but it's just capital lowercase symbols and several lines of that. And then it shifts back again below that and says, and the nectar flows like a river of tears.
And you notice, Bev, that there is some references to Malta, to Valletta specifically. And I'll just describe these last couple of pages because there's not a ton of text. So what you see at this point now is some kind of inventory or some sort of tracking of quantities, and you can tell it's about nectar very clearly. It's labeled as nectar. It's tracking over the course of several months, and it's measuring it with units, and it's showing these different values of units. And at one point, as you're looking at this, there's a massive spike in the production. And so for the longest time, the production itself seemed fairly steady, relatively low in terms of units, like maybe 24 units or so. But as you dig into it, you notice that there was this huge spike that happened kind of, I would say, like early 1936, so earlier this year, basically, you would be able to see, and it just radically spiked. And you also notice that is right around the time in which some of that correspondence and some of that scribbling that Marie was just reading had to do with a sacrifice. And there's also these other sections as well, that there's like theory crafting over these depraved acts and what would be pleasing to the thing with 1,000 mouths. And there's like all sorts of these various marginalia, not in one particular place, but 1,000 different places as you're turning page after page after page. These different theories about what could stimulate additional nectar production. And there's a reference to a person by the name of Montgomery Donovan, and that they are apparently doing some kind of potent sacrifices, is the phrase, and that it will multiply by many times the blessing of our God's sputum. And you can tell, though, even as Tremel's like summarizing and writing it, like the handwriting again shifts to a different kind. And this time, there's skepticism. One type of handwriting, it looks like he's excited and he's theory craft, and the other is now skeptical now of these claims. And that ledger seems to verify that correspondence about sacrifice happened right around the same time there was that massive spike of production. As you dig further into it, the last handful of pages, it seems to include all sorts of different details about nectar production and operations within LA. There's confirmation of what like a vial looks like, the pungent mossy smell. These are things that you already would know. You can see that there's like a distribution map for like the various places that Walker and his various distributors were sending things. And there's a list of names of distributors as well. So it seems to have a lot of stuff. This is information that you would have already been able to glean to some degree from the accounting book that you had already figured out. And so that, Beverly, is going to take, let's see, how long did that take? That take about 2 or 3 days. And I need you to roll a sand test now.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
And just you, because the rest of them are just reading so that they can participate in.
So
Sucker.
I read the other journal as well. The one that Marie had that burnt up. Does the
Sure.
change in like handwriting and like descent into madness kind of match or not really?
Roll a psychology test. Let's handle your sand, and then give me a psychology test after that.
So 63 over 60.
Okay.
So close.
After reading this, Bev, and maybe it's over the course of 2 or 3 days of reading this,
Mm-hmm.
it is a rough series of days for you. You wake up in a pant and you realize you have fallen asleep like on your kitchen floor. You wake up and you realize that you are in your bathrobe, but you're on campus. Like you start to lose track of time. You start to lose track of focus. Your friend Fa Li, your colleague, checks in on you a few times and is concerned about your state, says as politely as he can possibly say that you stink. And you realize you can't remember when was the last time you bathed.
Mm-hmm.
As you take 5 points of sanity loss.
Oh shit.
As your brain just begins to sort of peel apart, as it looks like you're trying to get the inner workings of a man who thinks of himself as a cult leader and has thrown out the names and the processes of what he considers like gods and entities and some sort of holy sputum. Now, it was a D6. I rolled a 5. Sorry. So
Does that count as my bout of madness? Because that's
it is
5.
going to be. It is going to be. So 5 is temporary insanity. So
gosh.
you do actually fall into that. I need you to roll an int test first.
Okie dokie. 63 under or over 70. So just
63.
regular success.
So you pass. Okay. Then you do in fact suffer a bout of madness. And so on the third day, when you finally kind of complete the reading of this, when it dawns together, like you kind of like disappear. Shima loses track of you. Fa Li loses track of you. You just disappear. And eventually, we'll say Shima. I think that makes the most sense. Shima, you knock on the door, we'll say, at Bev's office. It's been a few days since you've last seen her. Maybe you tried to call her before. Maybe you tried to visit and she's not been there. Maybe at one point you've peeked into the office and you can see like there's the chaos of which you're normally accustomed to seeing is even more chaotic in some ways. But you find her and she is just in the corner of her office and back to the door. And I need, Bev, I need you to roll like... Actually, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it right now. We can deal with it in between.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll deal with it in between.
Is that worse?
Yeah.
It feels worse. I don't
Do you
know
need,
why,
do you
but
need
it
to
feels
message me?
worse.
We'll deal with it later. We'll deal with it. I'm going to
I
surprise
don't
you.
like that. I don't.
Okay. You trust me, right?
Totally.
We did 5
As
minutes
he does
ago.
the Kubrick
Did
stairs.
5 minutes ago. So you made me roll that thing. Okay, you're the one who failed the test, not me. Okay.
That's true.
Shiva, when you find her, you find Beverly in her bathrobe sitting in the corner of her office and not remotely in a professional state. And you can see in her lap is the book. Now, I know we all just participate in the reading of it, but you hadn't been. That was Bev reading it, and we were all just chiming in. But you can see that she has open up on her lap, and she's in a bathrobe on campus, nowhere near her apartment. And you can see and you can smell she has not cleaned herself in days. She looks a little pale, like she hasn't really been outside much. You can see her fingers look dirty. What do you do?
Shama knows that she would not want anyone to see her in this state. So she hurriedly enters the office and locks the door behind her and like moves a chair in front of it just for like extra security. And then gently kind of approaches and says sort of tentatively and slowly, Dr. Key? Doctor, can you hear me?
And Bev, you do hear the voice suddenly, like you just kind of snap out of like a trance that you didn't even know you're in. You just hear her voice.
Doctor, put the book down. Put the book down. It's just you and me, okay? It's just you and me.
Don't. No reading this.
No,
You are not allowed.
I'm not going to read it. Just put it down and close it.
Do you promise not to touch it?
I promise.
I read this.
Okay.
I'm sorry if you can hear Elvis yelling.
Elvis is the name of her dog. It's not a
Yeah, my basset hound. He's
former singer
howling.
from the mid-20s. Okay.
Why am I here?
I don't know, but we need to get you cleaned up, okay?
Okay. Oh my God! I'm in my bed. I'm at work. And so Beverly, like, any normally distinguished woman does keep spare clothes just tucked away in her office. But it's just like a blouse and skirt, so it's not like a full complete outfit. But she will quickly.
We can absolutely take you to like the gym showers and keep an eye out.
Oh no, she just wants to go home, but
Okay.
but she doesn't want to walk out in her bathrobe. Normally she has these set aside for like if a student like has an accident, so it's like a Miskatonic t-shirt kind of situation with just this really pleated, just kind of just knee length skirt.
Okay.
And her robe.
So as the two of you back up to leave to take Bev home, like you have a notebook nearby where you've literally been taking notes, but you like you have this just amnesia. Like you just don't really remember taking some of these notes. But you see things about Bangkok. You see things about the initials SS, this correspondence with Bangkok and a man named Daniel Lohman. You see stuff about Malta, everything that we've read. You see stuff about Mexico City. You see all these notes that are just kind of showing up on some of your pads. And you're able to tuck that away. And the two of you are able, we'll say, to get Bev out of the department. A handful of strange looks. And then you're off. And back to your home. Well, all this has been happening. This has been several days over the course of the week. It's now been not quite a week since you guys have returned to Arkham. Patrick, you have been sitting in a series of daily sessions, we'll say, intense sessions with this psychologist. And when we check back in, we'll say this is maybe your fourth or fifth session. As the two of you are kind of sitting in this small room. Well, it's actually not that small. It's cluttered with books galore. You're on a leather couch. He's in a leather chair, high back. There's a desk nearby. He's come around it to sit in front of you. There's a coffee table between you and him, and you can see on it, he has this chessboard that's been set up and various other books that seem to be on display, but everything in here seems to be about the mind. About an analysis of the mind. So, Patrick, what have you been telling him, and how earnest and honest have you been about your experiences that you've seen over the course of the last week and a half or so between Savannah?
Yeah. First starting out, I'd probably be more timid. It's not really telling much, trying to cover some of the lies with believable, or the truth with believable lies. It's sort of like starting out with the dreams I have, the mouths I see, maybe how I lost my pinky, how the feeling on there is still kind of there, but then I remember when I try to use it, it's missing.
Yes. This is a very common. One who loses a part of themselves can feel a phantom limb. Many veterans of the Great War have testified to such experiences, not just a pinky finger, but perhaps a hand or an arm or a leg. You are lucky that it is so inconsequential. But since it is yours, it is very easy for someone to say it is inconsequential. One's finger is very consequential to themselves, yes?
Then I get more into the paranoia, like someone's always watching me. Someone's always behind me.
Yes.
Do you tell him how you lost your pinky?
I'd put it in a way of just like I got mugged.
Yes, this is again very common. You have suffered a very serious trauma. Someone attacked you. And now you think you might be attacked again, perhaps. I can assure you.
Did you say that you were in California?
Yeah, I would have started with my trip down to like Georgia, and then I went to California.
Okay. I can rest assured, Mr. Price, you are in Arkham. The chances for someone to follow you from Savannah to California and now back to Arkham, that is not reality. That is paranoia. No. You will see. It will fade over time, but it was a very traumatic experience, it was.
And he's kind of trying to like calm you down a bit. And then when you tell him about your dreams,
He's like, oh, dreams. Very interesting dreams indeed. And what is it you make of them? Do you believe they reflect your emotional state? Do you believe they are prophetic? That they tell you of dangers to come? Or do you believe they are merely the random combination of memories and images all mixed together in that confusing organ of the brain?
It's like the dreams I have. They always come into my reality.
Perhaps you see in your reality that which you want to see. Perhaps you see the dreams themselves. You are looking into the shadows and not seeing them for shadows. You are seeing them for something else entirely. It is another symptom of the paranoia, I think.
Can't help but look at the walls every time I enter a room.
And why would you not want to look at the walls? So better not to walk into them.
It's not the first thing I look at, but really looking into.
No.
Maybe the only thing I'm looking at.
And what is it that you think you're going to find there?
Can't help but wait for it to open up.
Patrick. I love it when I start sentences by saying
Just
people's
with my
names. Because you know something bad's about to happen.
Oh.
Okay. You're sitting there, you're talking to them. You roll a listen test.
Eight under 60.
Okay. You're in the room, you're talking to the doctor, but you hear another voice. You hear
Walter Winston, Patrick Price.
And you see and hear this voice. It's very alien, undulation of sound. Then, in the midst of that strange tongue, you hear your voice. You hear the name of Walter. You hear the name Pastor Zephaniah Wood and some other people that you recognize. You hear Echevarria. And this is all like coming in one side of your ear. Meanwhile, the voice of your doctor is like, Mr. Price, are you okay? You seem to be distracted.
Yeah, I would have honed into that voice I heard, completely ignoring anything the doctor had to say.
I was saying that we will meet again tomorrow afternoon, and we will talk more. I want you to keep a dream journal when you wake in the morning, or if you wake in the middle of the night. I want you to write down everything you remember, and then we will discuss it tomorrow in our next session. Can you do that for me?
Yeah, I can do that.
Excellent, excellent. And you hear Beverly Key. And it's from somewhere in the room. And you look around and you can't see it.
Yeah, I'll be quickly glancing around the room, poking on my ear.
Are you all right?
Do not hear that. Are you playing a record?
Oh, no, I do not believe in music therapy, though I have colleagues that have explored it, yes.
I swear I'm hearing something right now.
It is just a symptom of the paranoia, I'm afraid. We will get to the root problem of it, I guarantee it. Now.
No, it's in here. I'm just starting scratching at the walls looking for it.
No, Mr. Price, and he gets up, please do not affect the wallpaper. That is very expensive wallpaper. And it's like, Mr. Price, he comes over and he puts like a hand on your shoulder, like, there is nothing here, I assure you. You are hearing it in your mind. It is only in your mind. Perhaps it is not a sound that you hear. Perhaps it is a memory, or perhaps it is a fear.
that is only inside of your brain. For I cannot hear it. And if I cannot hear it, can it be a sound?
You're in my head, Doc.
I am not in your head. But clearly, there is something else. And as I said, we will get to the problem with it. These sessions are a process. I cannot make you better overnight. I cannot stitch up a small cut on your wrist or on your arm. The brain is far more complex. And it takes time to get to the root cause of these things. And I will not make promises I cannot keep, but I will say this process can sometimes be very long and very arduous, but it will take work, and eventually you will feel better.
I'll be back tomorrow.
I look forward to it. Do not forget to journal. We see Patrick leave. Okay. Who haven't I checked in with in a while? So Shima, Beverly, the two of you, Pastor, we saw you beat up an innocent man. Marie,
Oh,
we
yeah,
haven't.
totally innocent.
What are you talking about? He was just hitting on your wife. Jeez, man. Marie, what do we see you doing over the next few days?
So I would say that Marie, she sort of does this thing with Nancy where she'll kind of crash on her couch for a while, and then Nancy will start to sort of, make it clear that she would like her very small apartment back to herself again. And so then usually what Marie will do is that she'll find a local hotel that could use a singing act for, a few nights or something, and, kind of try to barter, kind of a few nights of a show for a little bit of pay and somewhere to sleep. So,
okay. Is there a place that is there a place you go to regularly, or like a bar manager or or bar owner that you know, like a person you would know?
Can we say maybe just straight up Hotel Miskatonic, perhaps? Might be somewhere
Very
that's got
fancy place. Absolutely, we could.
A bar. That's what I was going for, somewhere that would pay well so that she can kind of try to get some funds.
Okay. So, yeah, Hotel Miskatonic. It is a higher end place. It's in the campus district. It's near the university, in fact. And when you head there, it is not the type of place that is as nearly as rowdy as some of your other haunts. It's not a speakeasy. So when you sing here, you're expected to dress relatively elegantly. There is a band, and that band is playing more common and well-known songs of the era, as opposed to things where people are going to be like up and bouncing off the walls. It's an older, more affluent crowd.
Sure.
What's your spot hidden?
I believe it's 60 something. Let me find it again. 67.
Okay, that's high enough. At some point during your performance, you're singing, and there's a handful of couples that are dancing, but it's more controlled. People aren't like bouncing off walls. People aren't rubbing up on each other. This is a very, like, compared to what we saw at the Midnight Duchess. The mood here is not as raucous. But you see somebody very familiar at the bar. You see Janet Winston Rogers, and you can see that she is sitting on a stool, legs crossed. She has sort of tan-colored stockings. She's wearing like a burgundy dress, very familiar. You can see she has a coat, but the coat has been taken off, as has this wide brim hat, and sitting down on a stool right next to her. And you can see she's drinking some kind of cocktail. It's not wine, it's a cocktail, something made. And she's watching you the whole time. You get to the end of the song, she sets the glass down, and along with everybody else, she claps very politely. What do you do?
And so I would say that Marie probably has a signal that she has with, kind of the band leader, so to speak, whether it's kind of the drummer or the piano player or whichever, she just sort of has, kind of a little just, kind of gesture that she does to kind of indicate that she needs a break. So, usually she needs to, kind of go to the restroom or do something, and just to kind of let them know that they should sort of move along with something instrumental without the singing.
Okay.
So she kind of sees Janet Winston Rogers, and she sort of makes the gesture and leaves the stage.
So when you get over to her, she looks up at you. Surprised to see you here, darling. It seems a bit more upper class, upper crust for you. You have more of a, well, I think you like more raucous crowd. Did I misjudge you?
No, we sometimes have to, even any of us artists sometimes have to make the choice between what we feel most comfortable with and what gives us the most coins to scratch together. And taking some nights in a place such as this definitely gives more of the latter and provides me the opportunities to find the former.
I see. Keeping your options open, I see. Playing
Always.
for a different crowd. I am sure this one can tip much better than your usual fare.
Yes, and they actually give me a room upstairs as well, and she kind of lowers her voice, I would never be able to afford were I not staying and performing here.
Oh, I'm staying here as well. What a coincidence.
Well, hopefully you are finding your stay here pleasant.
Oh, most pleasant. Indeed, most informative as well. I must say, I'm not one who believes in coincidence, nor am I one who believes in fate. But I see you here, singing. Now you're staying here as well, and I'm staying here as well. I had the most curious dream last night. And I mean this in no forward way whatsoever, Miss Wynne, but you were in it.
Pray tell, what was I doing in this dream of yours?
Oh. Well, it was you and I, my dear. You and I, we were on the street in some city. Not here, not Arkham. It was dusty, but colorful, vibrant. We were listening to jazz, music coming out of the windows. Various streets, old. Cobblestones here, twisting, turning. You and I were walking around, listening, talking. I don't know what about. Can't remember but a thing. But then a police car drove by, but it looked nothing like the ones that we see around here. It's different in the words on the door. Spanish, I think. Anyhow, the police car drove by, and you started to run. And for some reason, I started to run after you. And then the music seemed to change. It wasn't just music anymore. It sounded more like animals, birds, squawking loudly, violently, erratically. And we ended up, as we were running in this maze of alleys, this strange, confusing, circuitous path. And our shadows, they were huge on the walls, bigger than they should be. And that's when you turned on me. Yes, you turned on me, my dear.
Never.
And in your hands, you had a gun. And in the other hand, you had a snake. And it was then that you thrust out the snake, and it started to bite me over and over and over on my arms. And then, my dear, you fired your gun. And you hear this like loud smack and rattle as like you look back and a snare drum goes off. You turn back and she's like leaned in on your face right now, and you can feel the booze on her breath. Like gin, vodka maybe, you're not sure. Right into my stomach. And then I woke up. What do you think that means?
Oh my. Well, I don't rightly know what exactly to make of dreams. I of course would never consider such a thing as shooting a firearm in your general direction, let alone into your stomach. My word. And snakes,
My word,
I
indeed.
don't touch them. But I will say, though, that we do have another leg of our journey ahead of us. And it actually may be, and she sort of looks around and drops her voice a little bit, Mexico City.
Will it now? Mexico City, yes. It was indeed on the... It could have been Mexico. I've never been there myself. Well, we'll have to see what your fellow investigators have to say now, won't we?
Yes.
I've had Mr. Kern send out a calling card to each one of them to ensure that they come here and meet us for dinner later. I assume they will be coming, yes?
Oh, yes, of course. Absolutely. I look forward to seeing them again. We've each been up to our own personal business since we got back.
Ah, well, it's good to have a little time of rest. Now, you'll excuse me.
And she goes to get up. And as she does, there's another like thrum of the snare drum. And like you jerk and your hand bumps into hers. And her drink splashes all across her dress, her torso, her stomach. And you look down and you can see this maroon colored dress is getting darker and darker. And she says, well, that's exactly like what it looked like. And we'll go ahead and we'll end there for tonight. And we'll pick up next time around.
Oh my
All
gosh.
Holy shit.
That drink was great, Jeff. So good.
So good.
Right on, right on. Oh, good timing. I just heard my earbuds die on me. They're about to die on me. For like 5 minutes. Okay, perfect timing. Wow. Okay, all right. So I know I said that you guys could get some sanity back this time around. I hope you realized that I fucking lied.
Yeah.
No, you'll
that's
get some
occurring
back.
to me.
You'll get some back before the next locale. I didn't think it was going to take this long. I know. I should have remembered how we get sometimes in like the fellowship base and stuff like that. I should have remembered.
It's fun.
We do
I love it.
luxuriate in them,
Yeah.
that's
We
for sure.
do.
Yeah.
I know.
do.
We
A
enjoy
bunch
them
of
so
hams and
much.
cheeses.
Should have
just
remembered.
A
I
lot
totally
of
forgot.
hams and cheeses.
I think we did all lose some sand at some point this session, though.
I'm sorry. Did you all not agree to play a Call of Cthulhu game? What? It'd be fine.
I think
You guys are gonna live
I
forever.
kept all my sand. I was the only one, I think.
I knew I was going to lose
Yeah.
some sand because I
'Cause
was
you were
going to read the
reading.
book. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's gonna get way worse for you.
Yeah.
You just have all those books you want to keep reading. Like it's just like Bev's just her brain's got to unravel. It's gonna be great.
Yeah.
Cthulhu's harder
goodness.
on the smart ones.
It is. Yes, but you got to embrace it. Like that's the thing, though. That's how I look at it. Like when you play the smart one, you just got to like embrace that kind of nonsense.
Yeah.
Totally. Like how Marie was like, I'm going to read Hensel's notebook. Oh, that
No,
notebook?
no.
The one that's on fire and is in ashes right
The one
now?
on fire?
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that one.
That one.
All right, let's go ahead, get some close and plugs out of the way, and then we'll get on out of here. Stephen, we're going to start with Maitre. So Maitre, tell us, where can we find you on the internet?
I am not Stephen, unfortunately. But I am multiplace
Fortunately.
games. No, unfortunately. I am multiplace games on YouTube, where I make system agnostic or multi-system content. Yes, if you wanna check that kind of thing out, you should check it out.
Perfect. Now, Stephen, I hear you're making something like an enemy or so, nemesis. What was it?
No Messiah.
I do make those regularly. Yes. But no, that's not what we're discussing now. I heard you're editing something right now.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And that
It's,
might be
That's why I've turned back to drink.
and what you might be editing might be something I've written, which is Huckleberry, the RPG. It's a Weird West RPG. And if you'd like to know more, you can sign up for the mailing list at huckleberryrpg.com. If you sign up for that, you'll get a free copy of it when it releases on August 1st. If you'd like to play it ahead of time, that's easy to do too. Just join our Discord. Click on the little cowboy hat on the rules. You get to be a playtester. I'm running a session on Wednesday is the next one. So why not? Come play games with me. I'd appreciate it.
Awesome. Otherwise, okay, next things, what we got? What's our next game? Next game is Monday. You can see some of us here playing some Fragged Empire, getting back to that. We had a week off, unfortunately, but a week off and every other week game means you're off for like a month. So it feels like we haven't played in 10 years. So we're going to get back to that. Tuesday, Steven is not going to tell you what we're playing because he's going to pronounce it incorrectly. So I'm going to say it, damn it. It's Frontier Scum. It's Frontier
Why'd you say it wrong?
God dang it.
When do you guys play Frontier Scum?
Frontier, yeah. So we'll talk about ears around Steven. He's going to have flashback and a PTSD. But yeah, Steven's running Frontier Scum. If you like Morkborg, if you like Westerns, come watch that. It's pretty great. I have a jar of Vaseline that has been extremely useful. I have to say, it's been extraordinarily useful, I think.
Very helpful.
It created a lot of fun jokes, that's for sure.
We got a joke from Aaron too. Did you hear that joke from Aaron? I was like, I got so excited. I feel like we're infecting him. Oh goodness. And then what else do we have after that? Thursday, we're back to Simba Room. So some dark fantasy, good stuff. And next Friday, Delta Green. You can see the same crew right here playing some Delta Green, losing sand in a whole different way in a whole different decade. And that's about it. Next Saturday, we'll be back here as well. So I want to say a quick thank you to Fablemancers, I think was one of our raiders tonight. And who else? Is that it? Just the one? Melissa?
I think so.
This is your thing.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Fablemancers, for the raid. We really do appreciate it. If you haven't checked them out, go check them out. We're going to raid Precarious because they raided us last night and we're going to pay it back. So follow that raid. We'll see what they're doing. Have a great rest of your night, everybody. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.
I'll be seeing you.